Our story begins with the Xing Financial Building, where Chandler, the hero of our story, works. Chandler, furious, asks his boss why he can't put his name on the project and get his due commission. The mean boss contemptuously replies that everything the employees do belongs to the company, and the company listens to him. Our hero clenches his fists in rage upon hearing the answer and the malicious one. Logical, isn't it? The guy flies out of the boss's office saying that working for this company is idiotic. Our hero, without thinking twice, began to collect his things from his desk. Colleagues are trying to calm the guy's ardor. One of them reminded that the boss has power, and the second asked how the hero would help his girlfriend with her paralyzed father. Chandler looks at the framed photo of him and his girlfriend smiling happily. Having collected his things in a box, the guy tells his colleagues that after their death, his parents left him a house and a car, which he plans to use as a taxi driver until he finds another job. Since no one could stop him, Chandler walked down to the parking lot without any obstacles. The guy almost walked to the car, holding a box of things in his hands, when he received a new message on his phone. On the phone screen, he saw a message from his girlfriend, in which she said that she had decided to break up and go towards her dream. Not believing his eyes, our hero immediately called the girl, but in response, he heard that the number was unavailable. Out of frustration, tears flow from the guy's eyes, and he asks into the void why this happened to him. But Chandler pulls himself together, polishes the car to a shine, and starts working as a taxi. The order arrives immediately. Having accepted the order, the guy sees a request from the passenger to arrive at the specified address as soon as possible. Chandler pulls out of the parking lot, accelerating to get there as quickly as possible. Arriving at the place, the guy calls the passenger and hears a female voice in response, who reports that she needs another 20 minutes to get ready. The guy loses his temper and asks, why doesn't she call a taxi when she's ready to get out? To which she hears a threat. If you cancel the order, I'll file a complaint. But Chandler is not a coward and responds to threats. Do what you want, I'll cancel the order. As soon as he finished the call, he received a message that a complaint had been received against him. Suddenly, our hero's eyes widen in surprise. A beautiful girl in a revealing Chinese-style dress appears in the car right in front of him. The girl says that the host has been detected, the connection condition has been met, and that for a bad review he receives a connection to the system as a reward. Chandler, shocked, states that he has never heard of a reward for bad reviews. A beautiful girl says that the system can reward the hero after connecting, and for every bad review he will receive various rewards. And then our hero realized what was being offered to him, and without a second of doubt, agreed to connect the system. The beautiful stranger pressed her lips to our hero's lips and reported that the connection was successful. The girl said that a guy needs to get bad reviews from people who look weird or behave badly, but he can still get good reviews. For the first bad review received, the system gave our hero 28% of the shares, and he became the second shareholder of the All Island Hotel Group and must come there for dinner. Our hero was surprised at how powerful the system was that it immediately gave such a big gift. The guy immediately receives a new order for the very hotel in which he received the shares. Chandler is sure that this order was created specifically for him so that he could pick up the agreement to receive shares, and he happily accepted it. Our hero arrived to order, where he saw a long-legged beauty who called a taxi. After making sure it was her driver, the girl got into the car and slammed the door. Chandler pulled out onto the road and began to fulfill the order, heading to the indicated location. When the guy looked in the rearview mirror once again, the girl was indignant and asked why he was spying on her. Our guy was a little confused and replied that the girl probably didn't know how to drive, otherwise she would have known that he was not looking at her, but at the road behind. The beauty got angry when she heard this remark and told the guy that he was inexperienced and slow. In retaliation for such rude words, our hero increased the gas and began to accelerate faster and faster. The girl, who did not expect such a turn, was frightened and exclaimed, "What are you doing?" Chandler's car accelerated more and more, and the girl tried to calm him down by saying that she was wrong and asked him to stop. With tears in her eyes, ready to burst into tears, the beauty repeated that she was wrong. When the car accelerated even more, the girl grabbed the door handle with both hands and began to beg the driver to stop because she was scared. But our hero didn't even think about stopping and told the girl that she could leave alive if they didn't get into an accident, or he would let her go if she called him Dad. Unable to bear it, the girl burst into tears and, stuttering, called our hero Daddy. Having heard the right words, Chandler began to stop, pleased with himself. They arrived at their destination, the All Island Hotel, and our hero said that the girl could leave. Coming out of the car, the girl was trembling and threatened our hero to leave a bad review and call the police. Suddenly, a message appeared in front of Chandler which only he could see, saying that he had completed the mission and the system was offering him the Xing Financial Company as a reward. The guy was very happy about this news, because this is the same company in which he previously worked, and now he will be able to resolve the problems with the evil boss. Our hero, pleased with himself, entered the All Island Hotel, where he had an appointment regarding the transfer of shares. At the reception, he met his dissatisfied passenger. When she saw the driver, she was puzzled. "How dare you follow me?" the girl exclaimed in confusion. With a satisfied grin, the guy replied that her father had taken his place here a long time ago and moved on. The guy showed the message on his phone screen to the employee, and she replied that his place was at table number 8 and that he would be shown there. She also gave him a document on which was written an agreement for the receipt of shares. A hotel employee came out to see our hero off, and a former taxi passenger looked after him with displeasure, thinking that she would never forgive him. After escorting Chandler to his table, the employee brought him coffee and informed him that his food would be ready soon. While sipping coffee, Chandler suddenly noticed a recent passenger who walked past him. The girl shook hands with the guy at the next table and they started talking, and our hero realized that it was a blind date. Our hero was taking another sip of coffee when the door to the hall swung open. 3 people entered the hall. A balding, short, middle-aged man and 2 beauties on either side of him. Noticing our hero, the blonde told her companion that he was an acquaintance of hers and went to say hello. But, approaching the table where Chandler was sitting, her friendliness disappeared. The girl began to ask why he was here, because she had already broken up with Faye, and asked not to pursue her. Chandler was cold and replied that he was not that low. He was not interested in girls like them. And if they were not ashamed to spend all day with men over 40, he felt sorry for them. At these words, the blonde in a red dress became furious and hit the table with both hands. The balding man heard the noise and asked the blonde what happened. Turning to the man with an innocent smile, the girl said that everything was fine and asked him to move on. But the man did not believe the blonde. He and Faye came closer. The man, as if accidentally displaying an expensive watch, asked Chandler who he was. Our hero answered with a smile that he was Faye's ex and that they had just broken up today, and also asked how long they had been sleeping together. The balding man touched Faye's face with his fingers and asked if the guy was telling the truth. Faye began to tell with tears that they had broken up a long time ago, and our hero was still pursuing and intimidating her, and even decided to come here to the hotel. The man smiled at the girl, asked her not to cry anymore, and promised to sort everything out. Putting his hands in his trouser pockets, the man came close to the table and told our hero that he was annoyed by the harassment of his girlfriend. The man turned to the approaching waitress and asked to call the hotel manager. Faye approached Chandler and asked him to leave, saying that he would be in trouble. And at the next table, the passenger who left a bad review thought to herself that the situation had reached the point of absurdity and that our hero would no longer be able to get out. The guy sitting with the former passenger noticed where she was looking and asked if she knew our hero, to which she replied that he was just a taxi driver who brought her here. She began to complain that the driver had a terrible character, that he almost killed the girl, so she left a bad review about him. The guy got angry when he heard the story, stood up abruptly, and promised the girl that he would teach the driver a lesson. The girl tried to stop him, but the guy had already approached the table where our hero was sitting. The guy asked with hatred if he brought the brunette to the hotel and if he mocked the girl while they were driving. Chandler was calm and immediately answered, "Yes, what's the problem? My name is Louis, I'm on a date with this girl. If you apologize to her, I'll forgive you, and if not, I'll throw you out," the guy said. Chandler continued to calmly drink his coffee and asked the guy who his father was. Louis said that his father is the chairman of investment. He is going to invest in all island, and if he asks, our hero will be blacklisted. "Okay, let's see how you do it," Chandler replied, smiling relaxedly. The disputants heard the hotel manager hurriedly approaching them. The blonde guy went straight to the balding man and asked why he didn't warn him that he was coming. Then he saw Luis and smiled widely, rejoicing at what a great day it was at the hotel. The man approached the manager with a complaint that he had come to the hotel to cancel a girl's birthday, but her ex was bothering them and asked him to kick him out. The guy immediately got involved, saying that our hero was bullying the girl he was on a date with and also asked to kick him out. The manager was trying to make a joke and asked who was so reckless as to anger both of them. The man and the guy simultaneously pointed to our hero, who continued to calmly drink his coffee. Seeing him, the manager became nervous as he immediately recognized that this was a new shareholder about whom he had recently been informed. The manager quickly made a decision and ordered the security to throw the man and the guy out and forbid them to come to the hotel again. Both did not believe what had happened and reminded the manager that the man was the hotel's food supplier, and the guy was from the family of the future investor. The manager leaned towards Chandler and introduced him, the second largest shareholder of the all-island hotel. The balding man and the 2 girls next to him did not believe what the manager said and asked again in unison. The former passenger was also surprised and concluded that our hero was definitely rich if he dared to behave so arrogantly. Chandler turned to the manager and said that the services of the man and the guy would no longer be needed and asked to throw them out. Faye, looking at the situation, began to doubt whether she did the right thing by leaving our hero and decided that she needed to apologize. Faye fell to her knees in front of her ex-boyfriend and began to ask him for forgiveness. assuring that she had nothing with the man. The blonde pushed Faye away, accusing her of commercialism, and asked her to look at her, calling herself pure. Chandler was not interested in these girls and thought that they were clearly starting a fight. The balding man tried to justify himself to our hero. Allegedly, he did not know that Faye was already dating him, and assured that he did not want to create a conflict. With a clink, Chandler set the coffee mug down on the saucer. The guy irritably asked the manager why these two were still there. The manager readily responded to our hero's words and called the security, ordering them to take the man and guy out. Security took the blonde and the man away. The girl continued to reach out to our hero, and the man shouted that he was mistaken. The manager leaned over Chandler and said that Louis was the son of the chairman of investment. But Chandler was adamant. "While I'm here, you don't need their investments. What are you afraid of, manager?" the guy asked. The manager ordered that Louis be blacklisted and ordered that he never be allowed into the hotel group again. Louis screamed not to be touched and pointed out that the second shareholder and the investor were not the same thing. Louis approached the brunette and invited her to eat somewhere else, walking away from our hero's table. Chandler noticed that Louis liked the brunette and decided to take her away from him so that he would no longer be proud of himself. Chandler stood up from the table and walked towards the departing couple, calling out to the brunette. Approaching the girl, our hero picked a flower from a vase that stood along the road. Chandler handed the flower to the girl, apologizing for his joke on the way to the hotel, and invited her to sit down and chat at his table. The girl stopped in thought, because since this is a blind date, maybe she should stay with someone who is more influential. The brunette approached our hero, giving him a chance to make amends to her. Louis lost his temper over this situation and started yelling at the girl, asking if she understood what she was doing and that this whole situation only happened because he decided to protect her. But the brunette replied that Louis did it only for himself and that she did not ask to stand up for her and start a fight. Louis turned to threats and promised to cause trouble for the girl if she stayed with our hero. Chandler walked closer to the girl and put his hand on her shoulder, telling her that everything was okay. With the sweetest smile, the guy sat the brunette down at the table and promised that if this fly Louis gave her any trouble, he would sort it out. But Louis could not calm down and swung with a scream, intending to hit the girl. Our hero intercepted the hand before it could harm the brunette. "How dare you beat women?" our hero asked with undisguised hatred, holding Louis's hand. The manager and security guards immediately arrived and ordered the guy to be kicked out of the hotel. Louis did not let up, promising to tell Dad everything and that he would definitely deal with them. Chandler filled the glasses with red wine. The guy handed the glass to the brunette and offered to meet officially, introducing himself. The girl also introduced herself and promised to delete the bad review in order to start all over again. Chandler smiled and offered to leave a review as a memory of the beginning of their acquaintance, raising his glass. They clinked glasses, rejoicing at their new acquaintance. The man and woman at the next table, watching the whole commotion, were surprised at the arrogance of the rich and thought that it was good to be rich. The brunette asked what Chandler's family does with a smile on her face. The guy said that his parents died a couple of years ago and that now he's a taxi driver. The girl, in turn, said that she is from a small town and works in a luxury store. She wants to stay in this city, so she is forced to go on blind dates. Our hero was delighted by the girl's sincerity, saying that every person strives for a better life and such aspirations are not shameful. The girl was pleased with the guy's understanding and offered him another drink. The girl took several large sips of wine, and her cheeks began to glow. Blushing even more, the girl admitted why she behaved this way in the taxi. It turned out that she had 2 dates, and on the first, the guy took her to the cinema, where he tried to kiss her. Chandler suggested that the girl behaved this way because she didn't like the guy, to which the brunette was indignant, not understanding how one could kiss on the first date. Our hero reasoned differently. It doesn't matter what the meeting is. The main thing is that there is an atmosphere, and if there is one, then you can afford more. The brunette didn't agree with our hero because she didn't understand how anyone could want to kiss on the first date. After listening to the girl, Chandler stood up. He slowly began to move closer to the girl, and she watched him intently. "Dear YouTube viewer, I tried a lot to make this video for you. Help me fulfill my dream and gain subscribers. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and like, you are the best. Have a nice day, and good luck." Our hero slowly leaned towards the girl and gently took her chin with his fingers. The guy kissed the brunette quickly so that she didn't have time to say a word. After a short kiss, he turned around and, telling the girl that he was staying in room 1280, left. Taking a sip of wine, the girl did not understand why she did not resist when the guy kissed her. The brunette wondered why he told her his room number. Maybe he invited her, and she herself was ashamed of her thoughts. And at this time, our hero came to his room 1280. He gladly took a shower after such a hard day and wrapped a towel around his hips and walked into the room. Suddenly he heard a knock and looked at the door in surprise. Without getting dressed, the guy opened the door and saw a brunette standing there. He didn't even have time to ask why the girl came when she pressed herself against him in a passionate kiss. Tearing herself away from Chandler, she blushed and looked into his eyes, not knowing how to explain her action. All the girl could say was that she was very hot, touching her breasts. Then it dawned on Chandler, and he said that the girl was drunk. The girl touched the guy's naked torso with her fingers, enjoying his abs, and realized that she couldn't hold back. Our hero took the brunette in his arms and carried her to the bed, simultaneously warning that the girl should not blame him for what was happening. He pushed open the bedroom door with his foot. Having laid the girl on the bed, he pressed his lips into hers, from which the girl could not stand it and moaned, hugging his neck. Two hot bodies merged in an embrace, and their bodies were covered only by a carelessly thrown blanket. The next day at the same all-island hotel, Chandler woke up and saw that the girl had already left without saying goodbye. Stretching and rubbing his eyes, the guy stood up, throwing back the blanket. There was only a red mark left on the snow-white sheets, showing that the girl gave him her first time. Chandler was taken aback, not believing his eyes, looking at the bloody trail on the sheets. He looked at the nightstand next to the bed and saw a note and an envelope with money there. In the note, the girl said that she would return next month when she was paid, to put him to bed again. But in the meantime, she asked the guy to rest and gain strength. Chandler said thoughtfully that this girl is quite interesting. Our hero arrived at the Xing Financial Building, which he received as a gift after the first bad review. He introduced himself to the guy at the entrance and said that he had come to pick up his things. The guy happily shook hands with our hero, introduced himself as the office manager, and said that he would now prepare everything. Two office workers who were watching the guys began to whisper that the new boss was very young and wondered whether there would be changes after his arrival. The manager handed our hero a yellow folder. He said that the documents were inside and asked to check them. Chandler did not test them, saying that he trusted the manager and that he would need their help in running the company. The manager was pleased with this trust and called two female employees standing nearby to greet the new owner. The girls bowed and said hello, and our hero suggested that everyone return to work. The guy turned to the manager, asking about the people renting the 15th floor. The manager sat down at the computer and began looking for information. He said that the boss renting the floor was running out of rent at the end of the month. Chandler suggested that the manager go to the 15th floor to talk about rent. They entered the elevator, which took them to the 15th floor. At the same time, the manager received a call. The manager said other tenants were calling him, and Chandler said he would go first so the guy could answer the call. There was a gray sign on the door with the name of Xing's company. Chandler walked into the office, and instead of greeting, he said, "Hey, it seems that everything is in place," surprising former colleagues with their appearance. A colleague wearing glasses approached him and suggested that he talk to his boss and manager so that they would return his job, but our hero refused. Chandler shouted to his boss to stop hiding and come out to talk to him. A bald man appeared behind him and asked why he was shouting, and whether it was even possible to shout in the office. With contempt, our hero says, "You came out? I thought you would be too scared to come out," and asks about his commission. The boss offers his terms. He will pay $10,000 for 10 months if our hero makes one deal a month. But Chandler disagrees and reminds him that he was promised 20% for the successful consideration of the case. The boss laughs and asks where the evidence of this agreement is, and adds that he can tell about other agreements, for example, that our hero promised to work for free. Chandler turns to the employees and asks if they have heard this proposal. The bald man looks angrily at his subordinates and asks who heard that he promised to pay commissions. One of his colleagues says that he has not heard this, and most likely Chandler sent it out incorrectly. Our hero is surprised at the lack of understanding of his colleagues, because their boss can do the same to them. A former colleague advises Chandler to apologize to his boss and return to his job as soon as possible. The boss also invites the guy to return to work, and recognizes his talent, and says that he is going to go downstairs to talk about rent. A bald man complains that it is hard for him to take care of all the employees, and a former colleague agrees with him. Our hero picks up the phone in his hand and says that he came to work to earn money, but he can't even get what he earned. Is that fair? The boss, seeing the phone, shouts to his colleague to quickly close the door. The hypocritical colleague quickly closes the door. The manager behind the door is talking on the phone, and seeing that the door is closing, he begins to worry about our hero. The boss says that if Chandler deletes the tape, he will let him go. The man takes his hand to the edge of the monitor screen standing nearby. He throws the monitor to the floor with force, smashing it into pieces. The bald man says that it was our hero who broke the computer and that its cost was deducted from his salary, but Chandler points to the phone in his hand and reminds him that the recording is still running. Our hero reveals that the recording is saved to the cloud and that even if he deletes it, the data will still be saved, which makes the bald man furious. The colleague, who has been sucking up to the boss all this time, rolls up his sleeves and suggests first beating our hero and only then deleting the post. Suddenly there is a knock on the door, causing the boss to cool his ardor a little. The bald man opens the door, behind which the manager is standing, and asks in surprise why he personally came to them. Because the man was going to come down to him himself. The manager says that he came to Mr. Yang, and asks why he would lock the door in the middle of the working day, worrying about his boss. The man doesn't understand which Mr. Yan the manager is talking about. The manager points to our hero, telling him that he is Mr. Yang, the new owner of the company, shocking the bald man with this news. The manager quickly approaches the guy, worried that something has happened to him and complaining that he shouldn't have answered the call, but our hero says that he was just in time. The bald man still doesn't believe what he heard and asks what he means by saying that Mr. Yang is the new boss. The manager reports that our hero paid $2 billion and is now the owner of this building. The boss and colleagues are shocked by this news. They do not understand why Chandler worked here, where he got the money from, and why he bought this building. A mean colleague checks with the manager to see if this is true about our hero, thinking that he might have made a mistake. The manager shouts at a colleague, "Do you really think that I don't even know who's in charge here?" The boss changes his attitude, shakes our hero's hand and admits that he did wrong, and agrees that he must be punished for his action. The bald man offers to double our hero's salary in order to forget about this misunderstanding. The manager overhears the conversation and asks if Chandler really worked here and that he wasn't paid. The manager turns to the boss, reminding him that the lease states that they must work in good faith. Otherwise, as punishment, the contract will be broken, and they can demand triple the rent. Our hero smiles and plays a recording for the manager, where the boss offers him to work for free. The bald man asks to forget about the past and is willing to pay 3 times the commission to settle the situation. But our hero declares that he only wants to get his own and doesn't need extra ones. Chandler is about to leave, leaving the manager in charge of resolving the issue at his discretion. The bald man shouts to the guy, "Wait!" The boss asks why our hero wants to get rid of him, since he has already admitted defeat. Chandler states that he never gives his enemy a chance and tells him to get out of the way. The bald man does not give up, asks to discuss everything, but our Bliss refuses. The boss turns to his subordinates and offers $50,000 if they help him. Everyone sits silently in their places. No one wants to help him. The bald man offers twice as much if they take our hero's phone. Chandler laughingly asks if the boss really thinks that any of his colleagues will believe him after what happened to him. Looking at the situation from the outside, the manager squeezes the phone in his hand. He dials the number and quietly asks for security to come to the 15th floor as soon as possible. 10 minutes later, 2 people hurriedly walk to the 15th floor. 2 girls who were previously on the 1st floor do not understand why they were called to the 15th floor and are worried about our hero. The manager points to a bald man surrounded by security guards and asks who would dare touch Mr. Yoon. The bald man was so nervous that sweat appeared on his face and he frantically wiped it with a handkerchief. Chandler leaves everything to the discretion of the manager, and he assures that he will do everything. Chandler turns to his colleagues, offering to take what they deserve before their boss goes bankrupt. Colleagues began to complain that the boss did not pay overtime, and forced them to make dubious contacts. Colleague who recently wanted to beat up our hero suddenly declares that he always hated the boss, but was afraid to say something against him. Chandler watches his mean colleague get angry, complaining about the boss, and is amazed at how fickle he is. The door with Xing's modest sign is now covered with tapes that read sealed. The boss, taking away his things, threatens that he will get even with our hero, and he in turn says that the boss himself is to blame for what happened. Our hero turns to his colleagues and says that he plans to open an advertising agency, offering them jobs. Colleagues are happy to report that they really want to work for Chandler in his new company. Our hero looks at the very colleague who wanted to beat him up and kicks him out, not intending to work with him. The colleague falls to his knees and begs to be accepted, and says that he is ready to help him in the trial of his former boss. But our hero is adamant, and says that he sees no point in working with someone who was his former boss's faithful dog. Kicking him hard, our hero drives his former colleague away. Chandler transfers control of the new company to his former colleague, Susie, and invites everyone to take half a month off and contact her with any questions. Susie became worried, telling Chandler that she had no experience and was afraid of ruining everything. Our hero consoles her and says that these are normal feelings. The girl perked up and promised to do everything in her power. All his colleagues bow to Chandler and thank him for everything he has done for them in the last hour. The guys warmly say goodbye to our hero, seeing him off. And again, our hero finds himself in the parking lot of the financial company Sin. "I'm done here. It's time to get to work," he says, approaching the car. He gets behind the wheel and accepts a new order, which is located 500 meters away from him. Pressing the gas pedal to the floor, he rushed forward to a new order. 2 people are already waiting for him on the street, a guy and a girl. Our hero takes a closer look and recognizes the girl as his former classmate. Approaching closer, he's convinced that it is definitely her. The girl opens the door and they sit in the back seat of the car. The girl recognizes Chandler and greets him joyfully, and our hero wonders who she is walking with. The girl replied that this was her boyfriend, and introduced our hero, saying that he was the best student at the institute, and mentioned his beauty. The guy looked at Chandler, asking if he was popular among the girls. A fellow student replied that he was very popular and regretted that our hero already had a girlfriend. She asked the driver if they had broken up yet, and if they were going to get married. Our hero began to slowly stop the car, announcing that they had already broken up. A fellow student asked if our hero regrets that he refused so many girls at the institute. Chandler recalled that he refused the girl, not understanding why he should raise this issue now. The girl clung to her boyfriend and said that she doesn't regret it at all because, thanks to this, she doesn't live such a miserable life, hinting that our hero is just a driver. A fellow student said that our hero not only rejected her but also humiliated her. Chandler said he no longer remembers what he said then, and if it was rude, he apologizes. Taking our hero by the shoulder, the guy invited him to quit his job as a taxi driver and join his company, seeing how sincere he was. The girl was delighted with this offer and said that her boyfriend works in an advertising campaign. But Chandler immediately rejected this offer and, opening the car window, said that he liked working as a taxi. The girl was indignant when he opened the window and asked him to quickly turn on the air conditioning, since it was very hot in the car. Our hero refused, since the order did not specify an air conditioner, and suggested that the girl say a few kind words to him or turn on the air conditioner herself. The guy in the back seat yelled that if it weren't for his girlfriend, he wouldn't have been so nice to the driver, and demanded that the air conditioner be turned on immediately. The girl tried to calm her boyfriend down because he could distract the driver, and because of this he could get into an accident. A classmate said that they are old friends, and if our hero closes the window and turns on the air conditioner, she will forget about everything and will not give a bad review. But our hero calmly replied that he would not be scared by a bad review. The guy in the back seat screamed furiously, "Stop right now!" Chandler slammed on his brakes and stopped the car. The guy in the back seat got out of the car. "Get out of the car!" he shouted, kicking the fender of the car. But our hero had no intention of going out, and wishing the couple to enjoy the sun, he drove away. The guy ran after our hero, waving his fists, but he failed to catch up with the car. Under the scorching sun, the guy instantly began to sweat and asked his girlfriend where they were. They looked around and realized that they were on the bridge, and there was no way to call a taxi here, because stopping here was prohibited. The guy with a sharp movement took out the phone from his trouser pocket. "I will file a complaint." The man hoped that our hero would be fired after this. Our hero was driving further and further from the bridge when he received a message from the system, which informed him that he would receive $2 million for a new bad review. Chandler looked contentedly at the message, wondering how unpleasant it would be to be on the bridge right now. The guy heard a notification from the chat, picked up the phone, and saw that his former classmates were discussing him. The dialogue was started by the same girl he dropped off on the bridge, and the rest joined in the condemnation, discussing our hero and not understanding how he started working in a taxi again. Chandler pressed the brake pedal, arriving at the right place. Sipping tea from a glass, he calmly replied that he had quit his previous job, was now working in a taxi and was not ashamed of it, and sent a recording of what happened in the car to the general chat and support. In the chat, everyone began to discuss Chandler's former passenger, considering her superficial and arrogant. Walking across the bridge under the scorching sun, the girl was outraged that our hero posted a video from his trip, and everyone condemned her. The guy yelled that he was going to kill our hero and offered to lure him to a party in order to make him look bad. The girl clung to her boyfriend, delighted with the idea. With a precise movement, the guy throws a coffee cup into the trash and sees an invitation to dinner from that same fellow student. Chandler smiles and replies that it all depends on his mood that day. Our hero squints from the scorching sun, imagining how a couple walks along the bridge in such heat. After such heat, heavy rain began, but our hero continued to work and, upon arriving at his destination, called the passenger. In response, the girl asked, how will she get to the car in such rain, and our hero asked to wait for her on the spot. He took out an umbrella that he always keeps in the car just for moments like this. Running up to the girl, he asked if she was his passenger. In response, the girl stated that there was a lot of water on the ground and she could not walk on it. Our hero was not at a loss and said that he does not have services for the disabled. The girl pointed to her shoes, said that they were very expensive and she didn't want to ruin them. And in general, many would want to carry her in their arms. But Chandler only suggested taking an umbrella and walking to the car on his own. The girl snatched the umbrella from the guy's hands, calling him stupid. Having opened her umbrella, the girl finally walked to the car herself. Already in the car, she began to threaten that she would give him a bad review if he behaved like that again. And our guy, not listening to the threats, asked her to buckle up. The downpour intensified when our hero announced that they had arrived, and the girl started talking again about how she couldn't walk on water. Otherwise, she'd get her shoes dirty. Our hero explained to the girl that he was in a car, not a helicopter, and could come closer. The girl refused to listen to the guy and promised to leave him a bad review if he didn't bring her closer. Our hero said that he didn't care, but the girl refused to get out of the car. Without hesitation, our hero turned off the car. He took an umbrella and got out of the car, saying that the girl could stay there. I'm leaving to have a snack. Goodbye, the guy waved his hand, walking away from the car. The girl went out into the rain, promising to sue our hero. Without listening to the girl, the guy walked past her. He got back into the car and started the engine, not paying attention to the girl's surprised look. While driving away, the guy deliberately drove into a puddle, dousing the girl with water. Laughing, Chandler thought that there would always be people like this girl in this world. The guy reached over and took out a thermal mug. With annoyance, he realized that the mug was empty and the tea had already run out. As always, a girl in a Chinese dress suddenly appeared in the car, announcing that for a new bad review, he was receiving a reward. Tea from the mother tree. Our hero never ceases to be amazed at what a wonderful system this is. Taking the girl by the chin, he asked why there was so little tea, only 50 grams, and the girl replied that it was very expensive tea. The price of tea is so high that it cannot be bought with money. Chandler was shocked at how expensive this tea was. Our hero got out of the car and took tea from the trunk. He was surprised at the price of tea, $10,000 for a small package. The smell of the tea was delicious, and since the guy had 50 packages, he decided to try one. A message from the system appears in front of him that he has received another bad review, and that as a reward he receives a villa, the documents for which will soon be delivered by a courier. Calculating in his mind that the villa costs more than $500,000, the guy wonders that he left him a bad review, sipping delicious tea. After finishing his tea, Chandler put the mug back. A red-haired beauty in a short dress appears in front of his car. The girl jumped into the front seat and the guy asked in confusion what she was doing. The girl took out a wad of money and said she was ready to pay. Our hero explained that online taxis work differently, and for the trip she needs to place an order in the online service. The girl got angry and suggested that the guy just drive the car. She said that she wanted to ride this car today when a guy in shorts approached them. He started knocking on the window and demanding that our hero open the door. The girl began to threaten that if the guy opened the door, she would bite him to death. Chandler asked if she knew the guy, and she said she didn't. Our hero asked the guy if they knew each other. The guy shouted in rage that she was his girlfriend. Of course they know each other. The girl replied that this was not so, and that today they met for the first time on a blind date. The guy shouted that this was a lie and said that the girl's family owed him money, and the girl had to pay him back. The girl directly told our hero that if he gave her to this guy, he would become an accomplice. The guy on the street shouted that this was not our hero's business and that he should open the door. Chandler suggested that the girl call the police because he didn't want to get into a dispute between them. The girl started calling our hero names, calling him an idiot who is of no use. Chandler got angry and said that her father started this situation and he should deal with it, but he can only call the police. A guy on the street kicked the car from the passenger side. He started pulling on the door handle, shouting for the girl to come out, and she tried to shoo him away. The girl asked our hero to save her, but he insisted on calling the police. The girl said that even if the police were called, her family did not have money to give to the guy. The guy grabbed the girl by the hair through the window, trying to pull her out of the car. Pulling the girl towards him, the guy invited our hero to take them out of town, where he would let him play with the girl too. Chandler inserted the key and started the car. A guy on the street began to threaten our hero and promised that if they left, he would still find them, because he was a famous person. Chandler stepped on the gas pedal, saying that he didn't care who he was. The car drove away and the guy continued to run after him, swearing at our hero. The guy walked to his car, preparing a plan for revenge. The car drove along the road and the girl did not stop thanking our hero. Chandler said that he was not interested in the girl. He would drop her off nearby so that she could call a taxi to the right place. Suddenly, a black car cut them off, blocking the path. The guy in the black car started threatening to kill our hero if he didn't stop. The girl was scared, because if he caught up with them, then she would definitely be finished. Chandler grabbed the steering wheel, trying to avoid a collision and get away from the chase. A man in a black car was driving behind, but lost control, and his car overturned. Turning around, the girl laughed because the pursuer crashed the car. Our hero pulled up to a stop and demanded that the girl immediately get out of the car. The girl straightened her fiery red hair and offered Chandler to take her home. In return, he would get her for the first time. Our hero became angry because of this proposal and once again demanded that the girl get out of the car. Having called our hero a coward and a bastard, the girl got out of the car. She continued to call him names as Chandler drove away, and he didn't go to work but to his new villa. A man met him, handed over documents and offered to park, after which he would show him the villa. Chandler followed the man and entered the door. He immediately liked the villa, he just needed to move his things here. At that moment, the guy got a call. He received a call from the All Island Hotel and was invited to a meeting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Our hero returned to All Island, apologizing for being late. Upon entering the office, our hero introduced himself and thanked him for the meeting. One of the men showed our hero's place and said that he was pleasantly surprised that the new shareholder was so young. The guy was introduced to a man with a mustache, Vince, the chairman of the All Island Hotel. Another man, Gene, turned out to be an investor from the Sky Company, and they gathered to discuss his investment. Chandler wondered why investment from the Sky Company was needed at all. The men immediately began to discuss what happened between our hero and John's son. Vince asked the guy if he was not offended by the children's ignorance. Chandler said displeasedly that Jean's son had insulted him greatly, and he was not going to forgive him so easily. Vince suggested that John's son apologize to our hero and give in for the sake of their future. But John did not understand why his son should apologize for simply standing up for the girl. Chandler asked the chairman if any other issues would be discussed other than investing in Sky and received a negative answer. Chandler stood up and said he did not agree with Sky's investment in the All-Island Hotel. Our hero went to the exit stating that he still had work to do. Chandler didn't listen to anyone and left the office. Jean was furious because he was going to invest money, but instead of help and gratitude, he received insults. Vince tried to calm Jean down, promising that he would talk to our hero later and try to work things out. But Vince still insisted that Jean's son apologize, and the man said that he would talk to his son. And again, our hero goes down to the parking lot where his car is parked. He slowly approaches the car and turns off the alarm. "I finally found you," he hears a man's voice behind him. He sees the same guy who was chasing him in a black car with a crowd of suspicious guys. Chandler was surprised how the guy found him, and he replied that he promised to find our hero anywhere if he took the girl away. Rubbing his fists, Chandler wonders if the guy really wants to fight with him. In response, the guy raises his bat and says that he will not deal with our hero, but will crash his car. All the guys start frantically smashing the car with iron bats. Chandler takes out his phone and begins to record the massacre on video. The guy with the bat says he can afford to pay for the damage, but he wants our hero to lose his livelihood. A red sports car screeches to a stop nearby. A girl quickly gets out of the car. This is the same red-haired girl that our hero took away from the guy with the bat. She asks if he has gone crazy. The girl is perplexed why the guy crashes the car, because she promised to stay with him that evening. The guy with the bat replies that he just wants to ruin our hero's mood because he broke his heart. He accuses the girl of falling for the taxi driver and says that he's going to kill her in the evening. The girl states that she communicates with the guy only out of duty, and under other circumstances would not even look at him. Suddenly, Louis appears in the parking lot and asks what happened, and our hero approaches him with interest. Louis rubs his bruised cheek and says that the answer made him apologize to our hero. Chandler suddenly became happy and hugged the confused Louis. Our hero asks if Louis's family is rich, and he answers, of course. Chandler points to the guy with the bat and asks if Louis knows him, and he reveals that his family has invested in several of their companies. Our hero says that he is ready to forgive Louis if he does something for him. Louis asks in surprise what he wants. Chandler offers a deal. If Louis lends the girl's family money, he will allow him to invest in All-Island. Louis asks in surprise why our hero doesn't lend money himself, because he has huge capital. But our hero points to the wrecked car and says that he still works as a taxi driver. Louis, in shock, suggests that our hero is from some secret family, but he asks not to talk about it. The guy gives up and says that someone from the girl's family can come to him tomorrow for money. Chandler approaches the girl, conveying Louis's words, and says that this is help for her in this situation. The girl jumps on the guy with joy, wrapping her long legs around him. The guy with the bat, confused, asks why Louis's family is lending money to the girl. Louis throws up his hands, explaining that Chandler is the second shareholder of All-Island and that he cannot do otherwise. The guy with the bat is shocked that our hero is the second shareholder. Louis asks the guy in a whisper if he doesn't see what's happening. The other guys throw their bats, thinking they're facing someone dangerous. The guys brought by the offended guy are indignant because he made them break his car, and because of this, they may get in trouble. The offended person holds out a cigarette from the pack as a sign of reconciliation. He tells Chandler that if he had known that he was the second shareholder of All-Island, he would never have behaved this way. Our hero asks if he really thinks everything is that simple. Two police officers run up to them, asking what is happening and who reported the crime. The red-haired girl waves to the police and reports that his friend's car is totaled. Suspicious guys immediately turn in the one who brought them, saying that it was he who ordered them to crash the car. The policeman turned to the offended guy and asked why he crashed someone else's car. The guy introduces himself and says that our hero stole his girl, so he decided to take revenge on him. The policeman asks if he's willing to pay compensation. The guy says with his arms crossed that compensation is possible only by court decision. The policeman tries to reason with the guy, explaining that damaging property is a criminal offense that cannot be solved with money, and the guy again tries to tell who his father is. The policeman replies that he doesn't care who his father is, and repeats that the guy committed a crime for which he must be punished. The guy agrees to pay for the car and offers $100,000 as compensation. But Chandler says he did not agree to the settlement and will take legal action. The guy raises the amount to $200,000 because the car was old and not worth more. Our hero points to his car and says that he doesn't want money, but justice. But the guy doesn't care. He's not afraid of a criminal record, because he doesn't need to work because of his rich family. The police approach the guy and invite him to go with them to the station. The whole company goes to the police, and our hero finds himself in a negotiation room. The policeman introduces the man, says that this is the guy's father, and he immediately states that our hero wants a lot. Chandler laughs at the similarity between father and son and reiterates that he is going to go to court. The father offers $500,000 in compensation. Chandler begins to get angry, repeating that it's not about the money. The man offers $1 million and adds that if it weren't for the difficult time for the company, they would have spoken to him differently. Chandler tells the officer that he wants to leave, and he asks him to sign a document refusing mediation. The man tries to stop Chandler from signing the papers. The father offers to meet at another time and asks not to spoil his life. Our hero takes the papers and asks if the man is done talking nonsense. When signing the document, he says that he has been threatened by creditors since childhood. With the signed papers, he declares that he is not afraid of the man's threats. "I'll see you in court," Chandler says as he walks towards the door as the man yells at him to come back. From the police station, our hero went to the real estate agency. A girl meets him at the entrance, hands him the keys and asks if he has any questions about the price. Chandler takes the keys and says he agrees with the market value. The girl reports that the house will be given to our hero and that he can call if he needs anything. The guy left the agency thinking that he needed to buy a new car in order to continue working. At the same moment, he receives a call on his phone. A girl in a Chinese dress appears in front of him and reports that a new complaint has been received and the bonus is being launched. Chandler is happy to hear this news. The girl reports that a luxury car is waiting for him in the parking lot, which looks like an ordinary one, so that he can continue to work as a taxi. The girl hands over the keys and the happy guy says that the system is very caring. With keys in hand, Chandler decides to go home and rest. Our hero arrives at his villa number 1. He sits in a chair by the pond, eating ice cream and enjoying the comfort of his new home. In the distance, 2 figures can be seen on the balcony of a neighboring villa. This is the owner of villa number 8, Yahello, to whom the manager came, inviting her to dinner. The girl asks the manager if she found out about the owner of villa number 1. The woman replies that the guards found out that the new owner is a young guy driving an ordinary car. He doesn't look like a rich man. Yahello became interested, thinking that the guy might be from a large family. She asked the manager to take 2 bottles of wine and take them to villa number 1, as a welcome from villa number 8. At villa number 1, the doorbell rings. Chandler opens the door and the woman says she is from villa number 8. She hands over a bag of wine and says that the owner decided to give him a small neighbor's gift. Chandler asks what the owner's name is. The woman says the girl's name and asks what the name of our hero is. Chandler introduces himself, thanks for the gift, and invites the woman to enter, but she refuses, explaining that she only came to give the gift. The manager says goodbye and returns to her villa. Yahello asks from the door how everything went. The manager says that our hero is a very good and well-mannered guy. He thanked him for the gift and promised to come back for a return visit. Yahello thanks for the information and lets the manager go to rest. Our hero looks at the clock, which shows 10 in the evening. He thinks it's too early and decides to go for a walk. In his new car, our hero drives through the evening streets of the city to a new order. He drives up to the cinema building. The car stops near the couple. Our hero says that he is their driver and asks them to buckle up. The girl says that she is a student and asks very much to take her to the hostel in 15 minutes. Otherwise, she will not be allowed in. Chandler says that according to the navigator, they have to drive for another 20 minutes, and it will be difficult to make it on time. The guy in the back seat asks to take his girlfriend as quickly as possible so that she can make it in time. But he thinks that he deliberately delayed in the hope that the girl won't make it, and she will have to spend the night with him. Unaware of our guy's hopes, the hero increases the gas to make it to the right time. The girl sincerely thanks our hero, but the guy is not happy with such a promise. The guy declares that if our hero doesn't make it, then not only will they not pay, but he will have to take them back. The girl asks in bewilderment why the guy said that. In response, he whispers that he deliberately intimidated the driver so that he would hurry up. Chandler says that since he promised, he will definitely make it, because he himself studied at this institute and knows the shortcut. The girl was glad that the driver also studied at this institute and bombarded him with questions about where he studied and what his name was. Chandler introduced himself, and the navigator reported that they had deviated from the route. The guy began to get nervous, asking why our hero deviated from the route. Chandler says that this route will save them 5 minutes and get them to the dorm on time. The girl is happy that they got such a driver and asks for his number in case they still need his help, not paying attention to the upset guy. The car flies to the girl's dormitory building. The girl quickly runs out of the car. She waves to the caretaker and asks him not to close the door. The girl thanks our hero and says goodbye to him, happy that she made it on time. Chandler turns to the remaining guy and asks where to take him. The guy smiles slyly, says that he will order again and asks to continue the trip. Suddenly, a message appears on the screen that another bad review has been received. Chandler wonders who left it, and since this is the first order today, it turns out that the guy behind him left it. Immediately, the hero sees a message from the system, which informs him that he has received a real combat skill that is starting to work right now. Chandler feels with his whole body that this technique has some kind of superpower. Chandler turns around and asks why the guy left a bad review, since he brought the girl on time. The guy smiles evilly and asks our hero to drive the car further and that he will explain everything later. Chandler drove the guy to his destination and again asked why he left a bad review. But he doesn't answer and says on the phone for the guys to come over. 3 hooligans run up to the car, begin to smash the car, and demand that our hero get out of the car. Chandler turns to the guy again, trying to understand what's going on. Here the guy finally says that he deliberately detained the girl so that she would not have time to spend the night with him, and our hero ruined his plans. Chandler still doesn't understand why the guy tried to persuade him to take them faster. The guy flies out of the car, cursing. He kicks the car's side mirror and demands Chandler get out. Our hero reflects that he has just received a new technique and will be able to try it on hooligans. Guys with bats surround our hero, planning to finish him off quickly. Chandler stops the guy and asks him to wait a minute. The guy thinks that our hero was scared and invites him to kneel to beg for forgiveness, otherwise they will beat him. Chandler points to a street camera that will record the attack and suggests they go where they won't leave evidence. The guy with the bat laughs, thinking that our hero has accepted his fate. Chandler walks forward, rubbing his fists, and a crowd of hooligans follows, but unaware of anything. Suddenly, our hero turns around. The only sounds heard in the quiet residential area are the groans of being beaten by hooligans. Without receiving a single scratch, Chandler leaves, leaving behind the beaten hooligans. One of the hooligans threatens the guy who called them that he will be responsible for what happened and pay the medical bills. The guy agrees that our hero was very strong and tries to justify that he didn't know about the guy's strength. A car drives up to a crowd of hooligans. Our hero calls out the guy who started the fight. The guy fearfully begins to beg for mercy and asks not to beat him to death. Chandler assures him that he won't hit the guy and he comes closer. Our hero grabs him by the chest and shouts that he owes him a new car, and the guy agrees. Without another word, our hero leaves. The girl he took to the hostel calls him. She asks if our hero has delivered her boyfriend. Chandler states that this guy has gathered a crowd to beat him up and advises the girl to break up with him. The beaten guy was walking down the street when he got a call. The girl immediately started screaming and asking why he decided to beat the driver. The guy shouts back that he was angry because they started flirting right in front of him. "Are you crazy?" the girl screamed in rage. Without listening to further screams, the guy lowered the phone, cursing. He decided to file a complaint against our hero to take revenge. Thanks to the complaint, the system gave our hero another reward, strengthening his body, and asked him to tell him when he would be ready to receive the improvement. Chandler was pleased with the complaint he received and the new gift from the system. Our hero finally made it home. He lay down on the bed and asked the system to start strengthening, and it responded immediately, saying that the process had started. The guy's body began to fill with extraordinary strength when the system started the process. After a few seconds, the improvement ended, and the system reported that excluding external factors, our hero is now the strongest person in the world. Pleased with the improvement, Chandler suddenly felt that the house stank of something. He guessed that this was the legendary clearing of the meridians. The next day at Villa Number 1, Chandler went for a run and met a girl along the way. He greeted, guessing that it was Yahello, and the girl also immediately realized that this was the owner of Villa Number 1. They shook hands and our hero thanked for the gift, which he really liked. Chandler said goodbye to the girl, wishing her good luck in training. Looking after the running guy, the girl thought that he was quite suitable for the role of a son from a large family, and our hero was trying to figure out what to give the girl. It dawned on him, and he decided to give that very tea. The doorbell of Villa Number 8 rang. The manager opened the door, inviting our hero to enter. Chandler handed over the bag, saying that he wanted to share some tea with him. The manager was surprised by such a gift. A girl appeared on the second floor, drying her wet hair, and offered to treat our hero to wine. Chandler greeted the girl, and the manager said that the guy brought them tea and offered to prepare it. The girl liked this proposal and suggested boiling water. Chandler handed the package to the manager with a smile and said that he couldn't stay because he needed to pick up the car. Yahello hurried to go downstairs and asked what our hero was doing. Chandler said that he works as a taxi driver, and without allowing further questions to be asked, he said goodbye. Hearing these words, Yahello doubted whether our hero was really rich because he works as a taxi driver. The manager opened the package and asked the girl what kind of tea she thought it was. Yahello replied that she didn't know and offered to take it to an old friend who knew about types of tea. The manager agreed with the proposal and went to find out what kind of tea it was. Yahello wondered how the taxi driver could afford Villa Number 1. Our hero arrived in his new car for his next order. Having arrived, he saw the same red-haired beauty whom he had recently saved from a guy. Chandler smiled at her and asked if she had ordered a taxi. The girl opened the door, not understanding why our hero bought himself such an ordinary car. The girl sat in the front seat and suggested that the hero should have bought himself a sports car. Crossing her legs, the girl asked the guy if her legs had become even more attractive. The guy replied that if the girl was silent, she would score 99 points, but if she spoke, then only 59. The girl was surprised by this assessment, and the guy changed the subject and asked her to buckle up. The car was driving along the road when the girl said that she was inviting the guy to lunch at a restaurant, but he refused because he needed to pick up his car. Chandler says that the girl clearly wanted to get him drunk so that she could then go up to the hotel to continue the evening, and the girl does not deny this. But Chandler adamantly replies that he doesn't want dinner. The girl is indignant at how Chandler can refuse such a beautiful and smart girl and begins to suspect that he has a problem with sexual orientation. Our hero pressed the brake pedal, announced that they had arrived, and asked the girl to get out if she had nothing more to say. The girl got out of the car, annoyed that our hero was not interested in girls and sure that he was gay. Our hero arrived for the next order and saw that the man was saying something to the frightened girl. Our hero said that he had arrived and the girl waved to him. However, the man did not want to let her go and asked to pay, but the girl refused because it was not her fault that the bicycles fell. But the man did not give up and blamed the girl for causing the bicycles to fall on a parked car. Our hero pointed to the street camera and asked if they wanted to watch the video to resolve their dispute. The girl was happy about this idea because this way they would find out what happened. The man turned to our hero, saying that he noticed temporary registration plates on his car. The man threatened that he would crash our hero's car if he continued to interfere, and the guy realized that the man was simply extorting money from the girl. Such an arrogant man shouldn't bully a girl, our hero said. The man was indignant. What does this have to do with you? Chandler replied that the girl ordered a taxi and he arrived to order, and the man was delaying them, and once again offered to watch the video from the cameras. Suddenly a bat appeared in the man's hand and he said that he had warned our hero. The man asked if our hero really thought that he wouldn't crash his car. Chandler pointed to the car and said the man could crash it if he could pay for the repairs. The man laughed and said that he could easily buy several of these cars. The man rolled up his sleeves, and the girl asked not to involve others in their affairs. Our hero took the girl by the hand and asked her not to stop him. He hugged the girl and said that he had already dealt with such bastards before. Let him do what he wants. The girl blushed in the arms of our hero and apologized for dragging him into this. Chandler smiled broadly at the angry man and asked the girl not to worry. The man swung the bat, saying that if he didn't crash the car, he would be ashamed of himself. But suddenly the man saw something and stopped. He noticed in time that the car was very expensive, and thought that he would not pay for it in his entire life. Chandler irritably asked why the man stopped and asked him to continue. The man threw the bat, telling our hero that he had misunderstood him. With an apologetic smile, the man admitted that most likely the wind had overturned the bicycles and that he had questions for the girl. Our hero did not understand the refusal because the man was going to be proud of himself forever if he crashed his car. But the man admitted his guilt and invited the guy and girl to leave on their own business without stopping any longer. Chandler walked the girl to the car and invited her to sit down. Sitting in the car, the girl thanked our hero, and he modestly noted that if she had not called a taxi, he would not have been able to help. The girl could not understand why this man suddenly became so kind. Chandler didn't understand either, and assumed it was a sudden change of mood. Having arrived at the desired building, our hero announced that they had arrived. The girl introduced herself as Juno, and invited our hero to have dinner with her and her friend. But the guy refused and wanted to have a good time. Juno asked for the guy's phone number so she could call him when she needed the car again. They brought their phones to each other and exchanged numbers. The girl got out of the car and watched our hero's car drive away. As Chandler drove away, he suddenly realized that he was hungry. The car stopped, its polished bumper shining. Our hero entered the cafe and asked the waitress to take his order. He had just sat down at the table when he heard the sound of a message received. It was Juno, who wrote that something had been slipped into her wine and she was asking for help. The room was located in the same building where our hero was sitting. The guy approached the waitress and ordered her to quickly check what was happening in room 302. Just as the waiter was about to leave, they entered the hall. A familiar man entered, and behind him 2 girls were dragging Juno, holding her on both sides, and our hero realized that the request was not a joke. Juno, with a red face, asked to be released, and the girls promised to take her to the dormitory. Our hero tilted his chair slightly in the direction of those who entered. He kicked the chair forcefully towards the man who had previously smashed his car. The man was shocked that he met our hero again, and he asked why he freed himself so quickly. The man did not want to answer and demanded that the guy get away. The man shouted to the girls to follow him, but our hero stopped them. Chandler asked the girls who they were and what they were doing with Juno. She, the girl, stuttered, said that Juno had drunk too much and they were just helping her get to the hostel. Then why did she send this message? The guy asked, showing the message on the phone screen. The man and both girls were shocked by what they saw and clearly did not expect such a turn. The girl began to make excuses that the truth was her companion, and the man suddenly said that he is Juno's boyfriend. Our hero called the police and told them to come and sort everything out. The man lost his temper, accusing our hero of deliberately complicating everything. Suddenly, the man began to run away, leaving the girls he came with. The girl pushed Juno into the hands of our hero and said that she had nothing to do with this. Chandler lightly patted Juno's cheek, trying to bring her back to her senses. The girl opened her eyes and asked our hero to take her away from here. He took the girl in his arms and asked the waitress to open the room for him. The door to the room suddenly swung open. Chandler sat Juno down on the sofa, and the girl continued to ask him to save her. Handing the girl a glass of water, Chandler asked what she was doing there. The girl said that she was invited to dinner by 2 friends when she arrived. The man was also there. Seeing him, Juno was about to leave, but he offered to drink juice, and after it the girl felt dizzy. Chandler said that sleeping pills had been slipped into her glass and asked why she even drank it. The girl jumped up from the sofa and said indignantly that she would contact the police. Chandler supported her and, taking out his phone, said that they would not let the bad guys get away. A police car drove up to the place where our hero was. Juno left with the police, and our hero hoped that the man wouldn't get off so easily this time. Our hero returned to his villa and met the manager of Villa number 8 near it. Chandler asked what she was doing here, and the woman was glad that he had finally returned. The woman explained that Yahello was inviting him to dinner and had come to ask if he would agree. Chandler said that he was very tired today, but tomorrow evening he would be waiting for them for dinner at his place. The manager agreed and promised to prepare several dishes for dinner. The woman returned to Villa number 8, and the girl asked why she came alone, to which the manager replied that the guy refused. She told the girl that the guy had invited them to dinner tomorrow, and the girl was surprised that he was the only one who dared to refuse the invitation. Yahello agreed to pay him a visit. Our hero received a call from Juno. She said that her neighbor confessed to everything, but the girl is sure that the man forced her, and our hero promised to deal with him. The next day, our hero arrived for his next order, where a couple was waiting for him. The guy sat in front and the girl behind, and our hero asked them to buckle up. Suddenly, the guy in front took off his shoes and a stench wafted through the car. Our hero, holding his nose, asked the passenger to put on his shoes and buckle up. But the guy refused to put on his shoes and said that he was tired and wanted to take a nap. Chandler again asked the passenger to put on his shoes and said that if he did not comply, he would be thrown out of the car. The passenger began to threaten that if our hero continued, he would give him a bad review. The girl in the back seat said that the taxi driver has no right to complain about the smell of his feet. Chandler got angry and repeated that if the man didn't put on his shoes, he would throw them both out of their cars. But the passenger said that he was not going to get out, and that our hero could not do anything to him. Chandler immediately got out of the car. He opened the passenger door where the guy was sitting. Our hero grabbed the guy by the hand. In one motion, he threw the passenger out of the car. The girl started screaming and calling for help. People began to gather, and the girl continued to ask for help and asked to punish our hero. But our hero told what happened, and a man passing by smelled how much the passenger stank. Everyone around began to condemn the guy, because he behaved so unworthily in an expensive car. The former passenger did not understand what expensive car we were talking about, and then he noticed the make of the car. The girl did not understand whether the car was really expensive, and her boyfriend said that it cost $1 million. The girl immediately began to apologize to our hero and offered to treat him. Her boyfriend was shocked by the girl's behavior, but she told him to return without her. The guy got angry at the girl, asking what she was talking about. The girl drove the guy away, saying that he never listens to her. Our hero asked the girl to remove her boyfriend's shoes, and the girl agreed. She threw her shoes out of the car, and she immediately sat down in the front seat, offering Chandler dinner. Chandler thanked the girl as he opened the car door. After getting behind the wheel, our hero asked the girl to get out and wipe the rear view camera. The girl happily agreed to fulfill this request. But as soon as she left, our hero hurried away, and the girl shouted after her that her purse was left in the car. Chandler, without stopping, threw his purse out of the car. The guy with the smelly feet laughed as the girl was thrown out of the car. She slapped him in the face, calling him a moron. The girl got angry, asking if the guy didn't understand why she did that, and he rubbed his cheek in confusion. The girl said that she tried to beg forgiveness from our hero. The guy hugged the whining girl, glad that she did this, and the girl asked to leave a bad review for our hero. The guy grabbed the phone and left not only a bad review, but also a complaint. After such passengers, our hero came to the dry cleaner to wash the car. While sipping his coffee, he saw the message that a new bad review has been received. A girl in a Chinese dress appeared in front of the guy again and said that he received 32% of the shares of the Baoking Hotel and $5 million, which made him the second shareholder. The happy guy asks if the system can compensate for the damage caused by smelly feet. He receives a message from Vince saying that he must come to the Baoking Hotel at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. The guy is happy with his luck. Upon returning home, he was greeted by 2 cooks. Chandler was surprised what they were doing here. The cooks report that they have received orders from Yahello to prepare dinner. Chandler invites them into the house, getting ready to do the dishes. He opens the door, letting the cooks into the house. The chefs are shocked by the luxurious dishes and knives in the house. The chef warns the other guys to be careful. He scolds the cooks so that they should be more attentive, and they agree. They continue to discuss our hero and are surprised that even the faucet in the house is gold-plated. Chandler asks the cook if he needs to buy anything for tonight's dinner. The cook assured our hero that there would be enough food and he did not need to worry. Chandler thanked him for his work, and the cook was glad to hear it. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Our hero opened the door and invited Iola to enter, saying that her presence made the house more beautiful. The girl said that it was a great honor for her to be visiting our hero. The manager followed the girl in, and Chandler said that he did not expect her to invite cooks, and the woman explained that these cooks work at their hotel. Iola looked around and valued the paintings hanging in the hall at several million, realizing how rich our hero is. The guy filled the glasses with wine. He invited the girls to the table, set with magnificent dishes. The girl asked what kind of food Chandler liked, and he admitted that he had never tried such dishes. The guy said with a smile that this food was the best he had ever tasted in his life. After hearing this story, the girl decided that Chandler was from a rich family, but decided to leave her to experience a poor life. Iola asked what kind of cars Chandler liked, and he replied that he liked sports cars. Our hero added that he is now drunk and unable to drive. Iola continued to fantasize, imagining that this was a film at the end of which our hero would return to his family. The girl handed Chandler a steak and invited him to try it. Having taken a bite, the guy replied that the dish was really very tasty. An hour later, everyone had eaten their fill and there was no more food left on the table. Iola suggested going out for a walk after a hearty lunch, and the guy agreed. Iola and Chandler went outside and walked along the road talking about dinner. "Hey bastard, you're really unlucky," someone said, addressing our hero. It was the same guy again. Chuck, who crashed his car and gave the poor girl sleeping pills. Now he was with a crowd of bandits and said that he hoped to never meet our hero again. Iola became furious and demanded that the guys get away. Chuck sized up the girl and said that this was a personal conflict with our hero, and he didn't want to get her involved. Chuck asked the girl to leave, and she concluded that the man did not know who Chandler was. The girl once again exclaimed that they should get out and not interfere with her walking with our hero. Chuck began to threaten the girl and said that if she did not leave, she might get hurt. Chandler blocked the girl and told the guy that he only relied on his father's company, but if she wasn't there, then he would have something to rely on. Chuck agreed that he was being offered to his father and pointed out to our hero that he could not do anything with him. He gave the order to the bandits to kill Chandler. Our hero scattered the bandits who attacked him in a few blows. The girl was delighted with our hero's martial arts skills. Chuck got scared and cowardly asked Chandler not to come near him, otherwise he would tell his father everything. Our hero slapped him in the face, asking how dare he threaten him. The man was shocked that Chandler dared to hit him, because even his father had never hit him. But our hero only grinned dangerously, saying that nothing is over yet. He gave Chuck a few backhand slaps so hard that his head shook from side to side. Chuck begged for mercy because he was afraid he might die. The man said he realized his mistake and asked for forgiveness, and Chandler demanded that he get out. The bandits grabbed Chuck by the arms and ran away in fear. The girl praised Chandler's fighting skills and asked where he learned it. Our hero was confused because he could not say that he had received skills from the system. So he evasively said that he had not seen his teacher for a long time. The girl wished that our hero would definitely meet the teacher and asked what he was going to do with Chuck and his father's company. Chandler thought out loud that he did not yet know what to do, and the girl decided that the matter was most likely in his family, so he could not act openly. Iola offered to help Chandler figure it out as a sign of their friendship. Our hero gladly accepted the girl's offer and promised that he would definitely repay her. The girl was embarrassed and said that he did not have to be so polite, and also promised that in the near future he would see the collapse of the Java company, which belongs to Chuck's father. Chandler said that he recently received shares of the Baoking Hotel and invited the girl to dinner tomorrow. She gladly agreed. At Villa Number 8, the manager handed the slippers to the returning girl. The woman asked how it all went, and the girl replied that she was now sure that Chandler was from a rich family that practiced martial arts and told about the fight. Iola ordered the manager to find information on the Java company and added that she wanted to bankrupt this company. The manager understood the order and got to work. The next day at the hotel, the guy asked Lexi, the girl who insulted our hero in the taxi, where Chandler was, why everyone had gathered, and he was still not there. The girl said that he was not responding to messages. The guy said that if Chandler didn't come, he wouldn't pay for her classmates' dinner. A guy and a girl, Lexi's former classmates, came in and asked why they were fighting. Lexi explained that her boyfriend was refusing to pay for everyone because our hero didn't show up and offered to reschedule the meeting for another time. The guy with glasses was shocked because the girl herself invited them to dinner and now she's canceling the meeting. The red-haired girl was angry at Lexi, asking if she really thought that all her classmates were beggars. Lexi attacked her boyfriend with her fists, blaming him for what happened. The guy pushes the girl away and says that he's not obliged to treat her classmates. "Stop arguing," a man's voice comes from behind. This is another classmate dressed in an expensive suit. Lexi's boyfriend shakes the bills and says that he has money, but he doesn't want to spend it on her classmates. Lexi starts crying and says she doesn't want to date the guy anymore. The guy turns around and says that she will regret what she did. The guy leaves, and the rich man suggests not to pay attention to the situation so as not to spoil the mood. The door closes with a bang, The rich man offers to split the bill because the food at the Baoking restaurant is incredibly delicious, but the redhead says that she doesn't have enough money for this food. The bespectacled boy asks Lexi how much the dish costs, and she answers, 8,000. The bespectacled guy starts whining that it's too expensive, and if he pays for this food, he won't have any money left to pay for the phone and asks the girl to pay for it. But Lexi reveals that she is unemployed and has no money. The rich man offers to lend everyone money, but asks them not to forget to return it. The bespectacled man is delighted with the proposal and tells Lexi that she would rather date this rich man. The door to the restaurant opens again. Our hero greets everyone present and apologizes for being late. The rich man tells Chandler what happened, and the blonde teacher offers to sit next to her. The guy thanks the teacher, and she offers to sit down at the table and start dinner. Lexi begins to air her grievances at our hero, asking how he could leave her on the bridge. Chandler reminds that after recording from the car, no one needs an explanation for what happened. The rich man is trying to smooth over the conflict between the two. He says that he had already taken care of dinner, and Chandler needed to pay for the wine as an apology for being late. The teacher is against this idea and tells the rich man that if he wants to drink, then he should buy his own drink. The rich man asks the waiter to bring them several bottles of good wine. The waiter brings the bottle, and the bespectacled man says that it costs several tens of thousands. The redhead asks how expensive this wine is, and the waiter replies that it costs 120,000. The rich man is embarrassed and says that they did not order such expensive wine. The waiter turns to Lexi and says that it was her boyfriend who ordered such expensive wine, and the girl asks to cancel this order. The rich man estimates the price of the bottles and thinks that Lexi is definitely not worthy of that amount. The waitress says that it is inappropriate to refuse what has already been ordered. Chandler asks people not to argue and says that he will pay for everything. The teacher is worried that Chandler won't have enough money and suggests canceling the order. The teacher turns to the waitress, asks to cancel the order and call the manager, and the waitress repeats once again that the wine cannot be returned. 2 minutes later, Manager Chow comes into the room and asks who wants to refuse the order and why. The manager notices our hero and realizes that a new shareholder is sitting in front of him. Chow immediately turns to Chandler and asks if he likes the food. Classmates don't understand why the manager is so polite to the guy. Our hero pointed to the dish and said that it was cold and not tasty. The manager ordered the waitress to go to the kitchen and bring a new dish and more wine. The teacher became worried and told the manager that they would not be able to pay for so many bottles of wine. The manager says with a smile that they cannot ask for money, because Chandler's appearance is a big holiday for them and there is no need to pay at all. Chandler said that the rich classmate had already promised to pay for the food, and he would pay for the wine himself. Chandler ordered the manager to go to work and he wished them a good time. The door slammed behind the manager. Chandler suggested that his classmates not be distracted and start eating. The teacher asked our hero why the manager was so polite to him, and the red-haired girl added that the manager behaved like our hero's subordinate. Chandler said that he bought several shares of Baoking Company, which is why the manager is so courteous. The rich man and the bespectacled man were shocked, asking where our hero got so much money, because he is just a taxi driver, and the shares of this company are very expensive. Chandler lied and his father left him some money. The bespectacled boy asked why Chandler works as a taxi driver if he is rich. Lexi, who was listening to the conversation, decided to butt in and apologize for what happened. But Chandler said he still remembers how she and her boyfriend abused him. With tears in her eyes, the girl asked our hero for forgiveness. The sounds of a struggle came from behind the door. The manager brought up Lexi's beaten-up ex-boyfriend and said he was coming for Chandler with a bunch of thugs. The guy asked our hero what he had to do with the Baoking Hotel. The manager hit the guy hard, asking why he decided to attack the second shareholder of the company. The guy didn't believe what he heard and realized that this time he was in trouble. He asked Lexi for help, but the girl stated that it was his fault that he was in this situation. Chandler looked at the time and thought it was time to go on a date with Iola. Our hero asked the manager to take care of the rest, and he happily agreed. Our hero told the guys that he was paying for everyone except the rich man and added that he would try to return to them after the date. The manager said that since the guys are classmates of our hero, they will be treated as the best guests. The man wished them bon appetit and left the room. The door to the hall slammed shut as the manager and our hero walked out. Silence reigned in the hall where the guys were sitting. The silence was broken by the teacher who suggested we eat while the food was hot and was glad that our hero had become rich. The red-haired girl said that I didn't expect this, and they clearly underestimated the guy. Lexi thought that she needed to win Chandler over in order to fulfill her dream of becoming a rich man's wife. Our hero came to number 318. Iola was already waiting for him there. The guy complimented him, saying that the girl looked great, and she said that on the first date with our hero, she must look great. Our hero was embarrassed that he did not have time to go home and change his suit. Iola replied that our hero is perfectly built, so he looks great in any outfit. The cook entered the room and asked if it was possible to bring in dishes, and our hero ordered them to be brought in. The most luxurious dishes and the most luxurious wine were served. The girl was surprised at how highly the guy rated her, because he ordered such expensive dishes. Suddenly the phone rang. Chandler took the phone and saw several messages from Lexi. She wanted to invite our hero somewhere and was worried why he wasn't answering. Lenski was delighted to see that our hero had read the messages, and was sure that if he answered, then she had a chance. The next day at Villa Number 1, our hero was awakened by a phone call. They called him to report that they had purchased everything for his new advertising campaign. Chandler called Susie and said that the office was ready and we could start working, adding that the company was now called Arkin. The girl replied that she would immediately tell the news to all employees. Our hero stood up and put on his shoes. He looked out the window, enjoying the beautiful weather. Chandler arrived for another order at the office building. The passenger immediately began to be indignant about why he was late. The guy explained with a smile that he had to make a circle to get off the overpass. The girl indignantly said that she had a train in half an hour, and if she was late, then our hero would have to return her money for the ticket. Having estimated the time, the hero said that they would not make it in time, because even if they arrived on time, the station was large, and she would need to run very quickly to the train. The girl was furious because her neighbor called her and told her that her husband had brought another woman and she needed to hurry home. Chandler tried to calm the girl down and suggested calling the station to ask for the train to be delayed. The girl liked this idea and took out the phone from her purse. She called the station, explained the whole situation, and asked her to wait. Our hero was shocked that she was really calling and doubted her sanity. The girl responded indignantly that they hung up without even saying anything. Arriving at the station, the girl was still indignant that they did not listen to her, and our hero clarified where to drop her off. Our hero stopped the car. He asked her not to forget things, and the girl responded angrily by saying that she would never use a taxi again. Looking after the running girl, our hero was surprised at what kind of people there are. Juno called our hero and asked him to come and help her. Chandler left, asking the girl to send him her location. He arrived at the university building. Our hero got out of the car and walked to the passenger door. He received a message about a new bad review and was surprised that the girl still left a bad review. A girl in a Chinese dress appeared in front of him and told him that as a reward he was getting a new sports car so that no one would think he was slow anymore. The guy was happy about this news, because this way he could become the fastest taxi driver. Chandler put his hand in his pocket. He took out his car key and was surprised why the system didn't tell him where he was parked. Chandler heard the girls near him discussing an expensive car, but they didn't know who the owner was. Our guy walked towards the car, surprised that it was standing there. A guy came out to meet him and asked if his car was really great. Chandler agreed that the car was beautiful and was surprised that the car was not his gift. Someone shouted to the guy who owned the car that it was coming. The guy approached our hero and offered him $100 to hold the banner. The guy also called another guy standing nearby. The guy had a purse in his hands. He accidentally dropped his bag and bundles of money fell out of it. Our hero was confused, and the others watched in admiration. The guy collected the money and put it back. The guy handed the bill to our hero, but he replied that he had not agreed yet. The guy took out more bills and offered them to our hero. The guy with the banner in his hand suggested that our hero would rather agree and held out the banner. Chandler agreed and took the red rag. The crowd stretched out a banner on which it was written, "Juno, I like you, let's meet." And the guy with a huge bouquet of roses was contentedly waiting for the girl. Juno came out with her friend, who was indignant that there was no need to come here because Nick was waiting here. But Juno went forward without listening to her friend. The guy with the roses thought that the other suitor had acted too rudely, and if he had so much money, he would not have ended up in such a situation. Chandler asked Nick if he thought Juno liked him, and the guy replied that anyone would like a guy with money and an expensive car. Juno ran past Nick and approached our hero. Chandler said that Nick gave him money to hold the banner and asked the girl to quickly give him an answer. Nick asked if they knew each other, and our hero replied that Juno called a taxi and he was the driver. Nick asked with contempt whether our hero was really an ordinary taxi driver. Nick got down on one knee. He handed Juno a bouquet of roses and asked her to be his girlfriend. Juno responded in shock that they had only known each other for a week. She didn't believe that he liked him so quickly. Nick was shocked to hear the girl's refusal. The girl replied that she didn't like him, and the guy was shocked by this answer, not believing his ears. Nick began to praise himself that he was rich and attractive, and could not help but like him, deciding that the girl was embarrassed because of the crowd. The girl screamed, repeating that she didn't like him. Juno walked towards our hero with a smile, wondering why he was helping Enku. She put her arms around Chandler's neck and kissed him in front of everyone. Nick yelled for them to stop immediately. Blushing, the girl apologized that her saliva got on our hero's face. She took out a handkerchief and offered to wipe it off. Wiping his lips, Chandler said that the girl was wearing peach-flavored lipstick. A classmate of Juno's came up to the guys and asked her what was going on. The girl replied that the atmosphere was so good that she couldn't help herself. Nick got angry and said that he created the atmosphere, and Juno kisses the poor taxi driver. Chandler asked the guy not to bother them anymore and was going to invite the girl somewhere. Nick said that Chandler was a simple taxi driver, and that he should not dare touch what belonged to him. Our hero got angry and asked if Nick was really threatening him. Nick confirmed that he was threatening him and added that the poor taxi driver could not compete with him. Just in time, a message from the system came that she did not say the car number. She reported the car number AYC 205, and Chandler was happy about this news. He thought that this number seemed familiar, turning to an expensive sports car with the same number. When he saw the license plate number of the car, he exclaimed that he knew it was his car. Nick was indignant that a taxi driver couldn't have a car that cost $40 million, and that he wouldn't earn that much in his entire life. Our hero asked if it was his car, pointing to a blue sports car. Nick thought that although the car was not his, the owner was not around. The guy replied that it was his car and shouted at our hero to stay away. Suddenly the alarm beeped and the car started. Chandler asked how the car started and Nick started to get nervous. Our hero said that after all this was not Nick's car and he agreed, asking, "So what?" Chandler opened the car door. He calmly sat down in the front seat. Nick was shocked why our hero got into this car, and Juno asked him to get out until the owner returned. Juno ran up to our hero, inviting him to leave, and her friend asked the girl not to approach Chandler. Our hero invited Juno to go for a ride and have a snack. Nick could not understand where the owner of the car was, and why he had not yet appeared. Chandler took out his keys and asked if he still didn't understand. Nick was shocked how an ordinary taxi driver could afford such an expensive car. Our hero told Juno that if she didn't sit down, he would leave alone. The girl asked in surprise if it was really his car. The guy suggested looking at the license plate so she could understand everything. The girl looked at the number and saw that our hero's initials were on it. Chandler hurried the girl to leave quickly. Ugona went to the passenger door without hesitation. Nick was upset that he turned out to be a minor character, and Juno's friend was surprised at the girl who was sitting in such an expensive car. Juno was also surprised that our hero was so busy working in a taxi and invited her friend to take a ride instead of her. The friend was happy with this proposal, but decided that it was not a good idea. Juno persuaded the girl, saying that Chandler wouldn't mind because he was her friend. The girl got into the car and said that she could take a taxi herself. Chandler was shocked because Juno had recently been set up by a neighbor, and now she had allowed herself to be deceived by another friend. The guy pressed the button near the seat. The seatbelt came unfastened, and our hero suggested that they take a taxi to Baoking. The girl agreed, getting out of the car. Our hero left, not expecting anyone else. The girl apologized to Juno, not expecting things to turn out this way. Nick approached the girl and began to make fun of the fact that Chandler did not consider her important. But the girl asked him not to interfere. She said that the guy doesn't even have such a car, angering him with these words. Juno took her friend and they caught a taxi. Nick still couldn't believe it was Chandler's car. He called his sister and asked her to find out who was driving the sports car. His sister checked that our hero did not buy such cars, and added that there are 3 such cars in total, and our hero is not one of the owners. Nick yelled that he knew it and said that he would soon arrive at the Baoking Hotel, where his sister was staying. The sister was outraged by who treated her brother this way, and they agreed to meet at the hotel. Sometime later, near the Baoking Hotel, Nick arrived faster than the girls, using his car and speed. Juno called our hero and asked where he was, and Nick saw why Chandler didn't tell the number where he was. Juno got angry and said that Nick was stupid for not understanding that he was rejected, and added that she was not interested in him. A girl approached them, exclaiming that this was a very bold statement. Nick's sister said that she would like to know who spoke so badly about her younger brother. Nick was delighted to see his sister, and she continued to scold Juno. Juno asked her sister if she would choose him as her partner, because he has nothing but money. The sister thought that she herself despised her brother with all her soul. Nick said that his sister should not waste time on the girl, and suggested that they find a taxi driver, and she pointed to the car. They approached the car, but there was no one in it. A friend began to tell Juno that apparently our hero turned out to be a deceiver, but she refused to believe it. The sister began to make fun of Juno, considering him gullible, and warned that she could be deceived this way. Juno said that she would decide for herself who would deceive her, but it would definitely not be her brother. Nick was angry that the girl insulted him and promised to beat her right now. At that moment, a car drove up to the company. Juno recognized Chandler's car and was glad that she had not been deceived. Nick started laughing at our hero's car, saying it was a good joke. Chandler got out of the car. He asked the girl why she didn't go inside. Juno asked where he was and complained that they were laughing at her, and our hero replied that he was taking his car. Chandler asked Nick why he continued to pursue them, and the guy still did not believe that the sports car belonged to our hero. He said that the sister checked everything, and the car belongs to another person named Chenland. Our hero became convinced who this Chenland was. The sister intervened in the conversation, said that our hero has no money at all, since he works in a taxi, and offered to tell the truth, and in return she would get him a job. Chandler immediately refused, saying that he did not want to work for someone who had such a black heart, and added that she was deliberately making her brother look bad in order to look better compared to him. The woman got angry and ordered the guards to teach him a lesson. Suddenly, the man said that he really wanted to see who would touch our hero. The man in the suit asked the guy if he was okay. He replied that everything was fine and asked who he was. And the man replied that his name was Huang, and that he was the manager of Baoking. The brother and sister were surprised why the manager was so polite to the hero. The sister asked the manager why he was so polite to Chandler and who he was. The man turned around and said that our hero is the second shareholder of the Baoking Hotel. Juno was shocked by the news. She asked if the car really belonged to him, and our hero confirmed it. She turned around and said that the numbers definitely meant the initials of our hero. The sister still didn't believe it, and asked the manager if he was sure, and he replied that he was not as blind as they were. Juan asked if she really thought that people from their rich families were all like her brother. He asked his sister to leave the hotel and refused to sign a contract for the reconstruction of the library. The woman clenched her fist and cursed. She hit Nick hard and said it was his fault. The guy was shocked and asked why she was hitting him. His sister grabbed him by the neck. She made him bow and told him to apologize to our hero. Nick got angry with his sister and asked why she treated him like that. The woman asked what he was talking about. Nick leaned down and took the stone. He was angry and walked towards Chandler's sports car. The sister got scared, asked him not to act impulsively, and ordered the guards to stop him. Juno was afraid that he would crash Chandler's car, but our hero was calm and said that he would pay for it. Unexpectedly for everyone, Nick walked past our hero's car. He swung and crashed his car. The sister exclaimed why he was crashing his car, but the guy just waved the guards away. Nick replied that he was the heir to the family and from now on would be focused on the family business. Nick turned to his sister with a serious face, thanked her for her contribution to the family, and made a promise that he will never forget this. Chandler was happy about the change and praised Nick for quickly coming to his senses. Nick bowed to our hero, saying that he hated him, but was still grateful, and if he needed anything, he could reach out. Chandler suggested we talk about it when necessary. The sister was furious and blamed Chandler for ruining her plans. Our hero asked what she was saying, because these words made no sense. Chandler suggested forgetting and going to dinner, and Juno replied that she was just hungry. The guys were sitting at a table laden with expensive dishes. Juno's friend was worried that since Nick crashed his car, he might crash our hero's car too. Chandler replied that he could have broken it, but didn't. Our hero asked Juno why she wasn't eating, and invited her to order whatever she wanted. Juno said that she called our hero not for this, but to discuss something. The guy asked what happened, and the girl said that after the last incident, her neighbors were detained, and their families hope that she will forgive them. A friend said that this issue needed to be sorted out, because they could not come to a common decision. Chandler said the girls must turn in the ringleader, or he may come after them in the future. Juno replied that the girls were afraid to testify against him because his father was the boss of the Java company. The guy poured wine and told her to listen to him. He told the girl to explain her conditions to them, and this would already be considered kindness, and there was no need to worry about the Java company. Juno agreed to do as our hero said, raising his glass. Chandler suggested we go to the movies now that the conversation was over. My friend was very happy about this offer. Chandler thought that his girlfriend was very clingy, since it was obvious that he only invited Juno. And her friend, noticing his gaze, thought that he liked her. At the exit of the Baoking Hotel, Chandler gave the keys to the manager, asking him to drive his first car, and the manager promised to do everything in the best possible way. Chandler praised the manager and promised to tell the manager how well he did. The manager embarrassedly thanked our hero. At Villa number 8, Iola's father asked if it was too early to assume that Chandler was from a wealthy family, and the girl replied that he was trying to hide his identity. The father said that they have a share of shares in Java, and it is not logical to break off relations now for the sake of someone whose identity has not yet been confirmed. There was a knock on the door. A flushed manager entered the hall and said that our hero had returned in an expensive car. Iola asked what brand it was, but the manager couldn't see it. The girl was surprised that he spent money without restrictions, and even she could not afford that. She told her father that she would bring the guy a gift and look at the car. In Villa number 1, Chandler took the phone and saw his morning passenger. He watched a video where a woman was detained by police, and she was indignant that she bought a train ticket, but they could not detain him for her sake. Chandler thought it was no surprise that her husband cheated on her. Suddenly, a girl in a Chinese dress appeared in front of Chandler and said that a complaint had been received, so the system was giving him dirt on the Java company. The guy was surprised by the power of the system, because it even had dirt on the Java company. The girl whispered in his ear that the woman had left another complaint, so he received an additional magic driver bonus. The guy got embarrassed and asked what kind of skill this was, and the girl said that after this skill, the guy will be able to control any type of transport perfectly, be it an airplane or a boat. The guy was delighted with the skill and agreed that the name suited him. The doorbell rang. Chandler wondered who could come at such a late hour. The guy got up and opened the front door. Iola asked if she had disturbed him at such a late hour. The guy replied that she didn't bother him. The girl said that she brought a watermelon that they bought especially for him. Our hero thanked the girl and invited her to come in and eat watermelon together. The girl suggested looking at the view of the city from the shore of the lake. Chandler liked the idea and went to cut a watermelon to eat it against the backdrop of the city at night. Looking after the leaving guy, the girl decided to come closer to the car and look at it. The girl came closer and was surprised that the car was worth about $50 million and had an individual license plate. Chandler arrived with a bowl of sliced watermelon and told him it was ready to serve. He suggested they sit down and enjoy the night view while they eat watermelon. Iola expressed admiration for the guy's new car. Chandler offered the girl a ride, but she refused, saying that she was terrible at driving. The girl asked why the guy continues to work in a taxi because he is so rich. The guy replied that working in a taxi helps him establish communication in order to be ready to manage the company. Chandler handed the girl a folder and asked to look at the documents. The girl took the folder and asked what was there. Having seen the documents, the girl was shocked by how quickly our hero managed to find incriminating evidence on Java. Iola said that Chandler was amazing for being able to gather information in such a short time, and the guy replied that he had his own ways. The guy said that with this evidence, he would not leave the Java company a chance. Iola replied that she had also started collecting information, but with these documents, she would immediately expose the company. The guy said that it doesn't matter to him what happens to the company. The main thing is that father and son are humiliated. The girl replied that she would take care of it and said goodbye. Arriving home, the girl told her dad that Chandler let her in. The girl showed the documents and asked Dad to look at them. The man was surprised where the girl got all this from. She said that Chandler gave her the documents and shared her guesses that he must have great connections, adding that the new car costs about $50 million. The man was surprised by the cost of the car. The girl conveyed the guy's words that it was important for him to destroy the father and son and not the company, and asked if he knew that they had shares in Java. The man said that he would sell the shares and recommended that the girl stay in the shadows, as our gentleman does. The next day, a bell rang in Villa Number 1. A woman called Chandler and said that she needed to buy clothes, so she asked the guy to work and pick them up. The guy answered the teacher that he would even give her a discount, and she replied that she would send him the address. Our hero arrived at an apartment building. The teacher and the girl waved to our hero, shouting that they were here. The girls got into the car and the teacher introduced the girl. It was her cousin. Chandler greeted him back, saying he was glad to meet you. The guy drove up to a clothing store and asked if it was the same store, and the girls answered yes. Chandler suggested that the girls go shopping, and he would wait for them in the car. The teacher invited him to go with them. It didn't take long to persuade our hero, and he agreed. The guy didn't understand why he should go with the girls, and the teacher asked not to ask unnecessary questions. A consultant met them at the entrance, and her voice seemed familiar to Chandler. Chandler recognized the girl. It was Zoe who gave him her first time, and the girl thought that the guy was here for her. The cousin asked if they knew each other, and the girl replied that it had been a long time since they had seen each other. Zoe asked if she and her cousin were dating. The cousin replied that he was an acquaintance, and they had to call him because her car was being serviced. The cousin took Chandler's hand and said that she would call the girls if she needed help. The pregnant woman called Zoe loudly. The girl approached her and asked what she chose. But instead of answering, the woman angrily threw her shirt at Zoe. She immediately replied with an angry face that it didn't happen on purpose. Zoe smiled and said that everything was fine, asking if she had chosen this shirt. The woman replied that she was pregnant and needed something loose, but loose ones made her look fat. She asked to bring the dress that she tried on first. Zoe was angry because the woman had already tried on 20 outfits and was again asking for the first dress. Colleagues discussed the woman, surprised that she was attracted to Zoe only because her husband looked at her. The girl took the first dress from the fitting room. She brought the dress to the woman and she asked to also find an outfit for her boyfriend. The girl asked in surprise. He also wants to buy something. The woman angrily replied that they would decide this after the fitting, adding that today was her day off and she would do whatever she wanted. Zoe replied that she would take him to the men's section so he could choose something. Suddenly, Zoe felt unwell and covered her mouth with her hand. She apologized and ran to the trash can. The girl vomited, and her cousin came over and asked if she was okay. The girl replied that everything was fine and asked if she had chosen her clothes. The girl replied that she had chosen an outfit and was going to try it on. Zoe looked upset at our hero, upset that he didn't even ask if she was okay. At that moment, the teacher came out in a new outfit and asked the guy how he was doing. Chandler said he personally thought she looked great. The teacher said that she was taking the outfit and asked Zoe to pack it, and the girl said that they looked like close friends. The teacher replied that Zoe did not understand everything correctly. She simply did not have guy friends, and his opinion was important to her. The cousin also asked Chandler what she looked like. The guy replied that she looked good, but he didn't like that style. The woman invited Chandler to choose an outfit for himself, and he agreed, asking him to wait. Zoe offered to go with her to the second floor to the men's department. The girl walked ahead, and our hero followed. Getting up, the guy asked why the girl vomited. She replied that she was pregnant, and it was Chandler's child. Chandler was shocked to hear the news. Ignoring the guy's surprise, Zoe took out the box, saying that it should fit. Suddenly, the guy hugged the girl from behind, pressing her to him. Blushing, the girl got excited and said that there were cameras in the store. The guy turned her to face him and asked her to repeat what she said. The girl embarrassedly said that he needed to take responsibility. The guy took Zoe's hand and led her along. The girl asked where he was taking her. Chandler said that if this was true, then they should get married. The girl laughed and said that she was joking, and the nausea was due to stomach problems. Chandler was annoyed, asking how she could joke with something like that. The guy blushed, and the girl hugged him, saying that he was too trusting. And our hero responded by asking him to pick out some clothes for him. When choosing an outfit, the girl said that if she really gets pregnant, she will definitely tell him. The girl complained about another couple who tried on more than 20 outfits, but did not choose anything. Chandler asked who they were and why they were acting, and Zoe replied that the woman was her colleague, but had married a rich man. She complained that the guy was too annoying and disgusted her, and the woman wanted her to accompany him. Chandler got angry and said he would teach her a lesson. The girl asked why he wanted to intercede for her, and at that time a woman was approaching them. A pregnant woman approached them and asked why Zoe was treating her like that. They hadn't finished yet, and the girl was already servicing someone else. Chandler blocked Zoe and said that if they weren't buying anything, then there was no need to waste the seller's door. A man intervened and asked our hero how he dared to talk like that in such clothes, to which our hero replied that they tried on 20 outfits, but did not choose anything. Our hero turned to Zoe and asked her to pick out the most expensive outfit for him. The colleagues' girls whispered to the side, seeing the quarrel. Zoe took the box with the outfit. Chandler asked if these were the most expensive clothes, and the girl answered yes. Chandler turned to his colleagues and asked who the manager was. A woman came in, introduced herself as a manager, and asked how she could help. The guy said he wanted to buy the most expensive clothes, but Zoe had to accompany him, and the manager gave the go-ahead. The woman approached Zoe, saying that she should accompany Chandler. The pregnant woman was indignant because they came earlier, but they were ignored. Chandler said that they tried on 20 outfits but didn't buy anything, and if they weren't going to buy anything, they shouldn't waste other people's time. The man said that he had money to buy clothes, but they did not find anything suitable. The woman ordered Zoe to bring all the outfits that she tried on, because if they don't buy anything, then others will think that they have no money. The man thought that the clothes cost a lot, and he said it just like that, but the woman took it seriously. He tried to stop the woman, saying that they had a lot of clothes at home, and the woman screamed that he didn't want to buy clothes. She started crying, saying she was pregnant and he didn't want to take care of her. He tried to calm the woman down and ordered Zoe to bring her things. Chandler was indignant at what the man was saying, because the girl is his personal consultant. The man accused our hero that he still couldn't buy anything here. The man told Zoe to choose all the most precious things for herself and said that now the man will see everything for himself. Zoe blushed, thinking how cool Chandler was. The teacher and Juno heard the noise and decided to go and see what was happening there. Our hero confirmed that he was going to buy all the most expensive things. The teacher tried to dissuade the guy, and the cousin asked if they really didn't know each other. The man said that the taxi driver could not buy such expensive things for himself and asked him to bring a bag for $328,000. Zoe brought the bag the woman was talking about. The girl was happy for her former colleague that her husband could buy her such an expensive handbag. She turned to our hero and asked if he could buy such a bag, to which he modestly replied that the taxi driver did not have that much money. The guy said that since they were buying this purse, Zoe should help them pack it. The man saw through Chandler's plan and asked if he was deliberately provoking him to buy. Chandler asked not to slander him and said that since they don't have money for a purse, then that's their problem. The woman asked if he really wouldn't buy her that handbag, and the man replied that our hero was deliberately provoking him. Zoe added that he brags about his money all the time. Doesn't he really want to spend money on her? Because she is carrying his child. The man swung at Zoe, shouting so that she would not sow discord between them. Our hero intercepted the swinging hand. He grabbed the man by the neck and asked how dare he raise his hand to a woman. He said that if a man fought, Chandler would be his opponent, lifting him into the air with one hand. The man shouted for the guy to let him go, otherwise he would regret it. Zoe took our hero by the shoulder and told him not to stoop to their level. Chandler let go of the man's neck. Holding his throat, the man said that they were leaving. The woman was indignant at how a man could just leave without even hitting back. The man thought with hatred that he could not win. He said that they were leaving, but the woman replied that they could not just leave. She said they wouldn't leave until he bought the bag, otherwise she would have an abortion. The man replied that she can do whatever she wants, and since she sleeps with him for money, it is not a fact that this is his child. The woman followed the man, screaming for him to stop. Suddenly, she stumbled on the steps. The woman fell down the stairs, uttering a strangled scream. The man ran up to her and asked if she was okay, and the woman replied that she was in pain. Zoe advised to take the woman to the hospital as soon as possible. The man hurriedly picked the woman up and ran into a taxi. The manager looked after her angrily, and said that the woman deserved it because she relied only on the child. She turned to our hero, asking if he would buy something. The guy replied that he needed a business suit. The manager asked Zoe to monitor the purchases and help. The cousin told the teacher that they needed to go look for more clothes. In the men's department, Zoe asked how expensive clothes he wanted to buy. He immediately replied that he needed clothes worth $3,000, and the girl asked why that amount. Chandler recalled that last time the girl said that she would return when she received her salary, so he gives her the money right now. The girl was embarrassed by these words, and the guy asked if he could order custom-made clothes. The girl took a measuring tape and said that she needed to take measurements. While the girl was taking measurements, she noticed that our hero had become stronger. Chandler asked what was the matter if the girl was feeling unwell. She asked if our hero had gone to the hall. He thought that because of the system his body became better, and replied that he went to the gym for its sake. He pulled the girl towards him, said that he had become stronger, and she said that no one wanted to touch him. But contrary to his words, she put her hand on his chest. Chandler thought she could say whatever she wanted, but she would still touch him. Seeing this couple, the cousin thought that they are very close. She thought that she should destroy the relationship between our hero and the teacher. The manager asked if Zoe had chosen clothes for our hero. The girl replied that Chandler wanted to make a custom suit and asked for the measurements. The manager was delighted and said that Zoe would contact him when the suit was ready. The girls said goodbye to our hero. Chandler pulled into the parking lot. He asked his cousin where they were going now, and she said to go to All Island. The woman asked why he bought such expensive clothes while working as a taxi driver, and he replied that he just liked them. The woman decided that our hero was a creep because he was flirting with several girls, and thought about inviting him to dinner with her colleagues. The woman took her phone out of her pocket. The car drove up to the All Island Hotel. Chandler said he would go upstairs and get something to eat and asked the woman to call him when she was done. The girls invited our hero to eat with him. Chandler agreed, and the group got out of the car. The door to the hall opened. They entered the hall, and the cousin began introducing her colleagues. She introduced the HR manager and the investment manager. The woman also introduced her cousin and Chandler. The man said that there were not enough seats. The woman offered to find him an empty chair, adding that working as a taxi driver is exhausting. The teacher tried to object, but the woman did not listen to her and suggested asking the waiter to bring a chair. The waiter brought a chair. Looking at our hero, the waiter, I thought that he looked familiar. The man asked what the taxi driver's income was and added that income could reach $10,000. The girl said that this is a lot of money, and if she stops investing, she will join. Chandler suspected they were up to something. The cousin said that the man is very good at investing and can be trusted with it. The man said that for such ordinary people, it would be appropriate to buy a few shares. The cousin turned to the teacher, praising the manager's virtues, and offered to raise a toast to him. The teacher said that she was not good with words and offered to drink to their health. She took a sip of wine. The manager said that it's normal for a beginner not to know something and suggested learning little by little. Chandler said that he had some spare money and asked which company would be better to invest it in. He asked if he had heard of investment and said that his money would be protected in this company. The door opened and the person who entered apologized for disturbing him. The girl brought premium wine and the cousin said that she did not order it. The waitress said that the manager had instructed our hero to bring this wine and he would soon come down to greet him. The cousin thought they meant the manager. She said that he must have excellent connections for the manager to personally come down to them. The man said that the manager probably used his services and he would come down to thank him. A man entered the hall, apologizing for being late. He asked if our hero had received the wine, but the manager answered him and thanked him for it. The manager asked who he was, and the man replied that he was an investment manager. The manager replied that he didn't care and asked to bring wine to our hero. Everyone was shocked by these words. The cousin asked why he should bring wine to Chandler. He is a taxi driver. To which the guy replied that our hero taxis for the soul. The manager was about to tell us more, but our hero interrupted him. The manager understood everything and said that he had some work to do and had to go. The guy hurriedly left the hall. Chandler invited everyone to sit down. He asked the man to talk further and said that if he was interested, he would invest a couple of million. The cousin decided to apologize for her behavior, but our hero cut her off and said that they had nothing more to discuss. Chandler again asked the manager to talk about the investment. Suddenly his phone rang. The manager apologized and said that he needed to answer because the president's son was calling. After the conversation, the manager said that he needed to return to the company, but Chandler suggested inviting his son here. He said to call Luis and ask him not to disturb them. The manager called back and asked if he knew Chandler Ian, and our hero asked to be put on speakerphone. The manager obediently turned on the speakerphone. Chandler asked Louis not to interrupt their conversation and added that his friend wanted to get a job with them and asked him to help. Louis said that since our hero asks for it, he will take care of everything. He asked the manager to listen to our hero and not cause him trouble. Louis recalled that he lent money to his friend and would help her get another friend a job, so he asked to vote for them at the Baoking shareholders meeting. Chandler replied that he would do so and received gratitude in response. Lewis ordered the manager to explain everything to Chandler. Chandler asked the manager why he was standing and invited him to sit down and eat. The man obediently sat down on the chair. He asked if our hero was really the second shareholder of Baoking. He replied that for now these were nominal shares and did not mean anything, and asked if he was speaking correctly. The manager said that everything was correct and offered to tell us what futures are. The company entered the parking lot. Chandler got into the car and told the manager to go back because he didn't need to be escorted out. Getting into the car, the guy asked the girls where they were going now. The teacher suggested going for a swim and promised to treat him to dinner after that. The guy agreed with this proposal and they drove off. Our company arrived at the pool. The teacher said that she needed to go to the toilet and invited Chandler to go. Our hero put on swimming goggles. He dove into the water with a running start. The girls in the pool noticed our hero and began to discuss that he was very handsome and perfectly built. The guy emerged from the water and drops flowed down his muscular body, and the girls around him watched enthusiastically. He slowly walked to the edge of the pool. 2 girls approached him and one of them offered to add him to the messenger. Turning around, the guy began to apologize, but suddenly someone hugged him from behind. It was a red-haired girl to whom Leos lent money at the request of our hero, named Nana. She told the other girls that this was her boyfriend and told them to leave amid their displeased cries. Chandler looked at the girl and said that this swimsuit suits her. The girl straightened up, said that she had excellent appearance and in fact was called a flower. Nona asked what he was doing here and the guy replied that he came here with a friend. The girl excitedly said that our hero was very well built and asked where he got such a beautiful body. The guy said that it was none of her business and was about to leave, but the girl stopped him. He asked her to stop and said that his friend would come now. Nona asked who this woman was and whether she was more beautiful than her. Chandler asked why she pestered her and asked her to pretend that they didn't know each other when the girl returned. The girl, offended, said that she understood everything and would not interfere with them. The teacher returned and looked around to see where Chandler was now. The guy was in the pool and called the girl to him, but she said that he can't swim. Chandler said that he would swim to her now. The girls around began to discuss the teacher's swimsuit, saying that she was pretending to be naive, but in reality she was depraved. Nona looked at her and thought that if he liked such girls, then she needed to change clothes. The teacher admitted that she was a bad swimmer and our hero offered to teach her. The teacher obediently began to descend into the water. She immediately began to panic and frightenedly asked our hero to help because she was scared. Our hero picked up the girl in his arms and told her to hold on to him. Suddenly, the guy heard screams and turned around to see what was happening and noticed Nona in the flood. He asked the teacher to climb on his back. Swimming closer, he saw that several girls had surrounded Nona and they were loudly discussing something. He asked what was going on, why on such a hot day the girls were arguing instead of swimming. The girls started asking why he came here and how many girls he had. The guy, without hesitation, climbed out of the pool. He asked why it mattered to them how many girls he had and asked to stop arguing. The blonde said that it depends on whether he goes to the club with him. But our hero refused. In return, with a lustful face, the girl suggested going to the hotel and having fun. Nona pushed the blonde in the back, calling her a despicable woman. "Get lost!" the red-haired girl screamed, pushing the blonde hard into the water. The guy asked her to be calm, but Nona said that if she didn't do anything, they could take him away. Chandler took Nona and the teacher by the hands and motioned for them to leave here, pulling them forward. The remaining girls shouted that our heroes would not go anywhere until the issue was resolved. The guy, covering Nona and the teacher, said that if he even touched them, he couldn't vouch for himself. Nona was glad to hear this, thinking that our hero had a drop of conscience. A rescuer approached and invited the noisy company to calm down and discuss everything. The blonde screamed that nothing would be decided, and that until Nona drank water, she would not calm down. Chandler smiled slyly, asking the blonde if she wanted the redhead to test the waters. The girl confirmed his words. Our hero took a bottle of water from a nearby machine. He threw a bottle of water to the surprised Nona. The girl immediately understood everything and took a few sips, telling the blonde to watch her drink. "Now the issue is resolved," the girl asked, but the blonde only became angry because of this performance. Nona touched our hero's muscles and told the girls that he could easily handle them. And the guy reminded that when a girl speaks, she scores only 59 points, and when she is silent, she scores all 99. The blonde became even more angry about what was happening and told them to wait here. "I'll be right back," she said, and left. The teacher got worried and offered to leave, but Nona said that there was no need to worry, because our hero could handle everything. Chandler told them not to worry, because he would figure everything out and suggested they ignore what was happening and have fun. He took the teacher by the hand and offered to continue teaching her swimming. A few minutes later, several people approached them. The blonde brought the guy and pointed to the red-haired girl, saying that it was she who pushed her, and because of her, she almost drowned. Nona asked the guy with a grin if his taste had really deteriorated after their breakup. The guy said that he did not immediately recognize the girl and asked how they could solve this. The redhead said that she intervened to stop the blonde's betrayal and she would not decide anything. But the blonde replied that she was lying. The girl pointed to our hero and said that he was the first to flirt with her, and she refused him. The guy grabbed the blonde by the throat and said that Nona may be eccentric, but she definitely never lies. He pushed the girl aside and said that he would deal with her later. The guy approached our hero and invited him to sort it out like a man. Nona told him that it was she who threw the blonde into the water and asked him not to drag others into this. The guy said that he would give Chandler a chance and offered to go through the obstacle course. If he came first, the guy would apologize. But if he can't win, then Chandler will crawl under his feet, and Chandler agreed to these conditions. The day was very hot, and the sun was shining brightly in the sky above the pool. The guys approached the obstacle course. Chandler started first, and the teacher and Nona supported our guy. The presenter asked what our hero does for a living, and he proudly replied that he works as a taxi driver. The presenter asked if the guy was ready, and he answered yes. 3, 2, 1, start! The presenter shouted into the microphone. Our hero started and very quickly overcame the first obstacle, jumping over it. The presenter was shocked by the speed of our hero, commenting on his actions. Without stopping for a second, he instantly overcame the second obstacle. The presenter screamed into the microphone, wondering how the taxi driver could move so fast. The teacher and Nona shouted, supporting our hero. The guy overcame the third obstacle. Holding the rings with his hands, he moved to the other side of the pool. He ran up to the high wall. Chandler took the pole and instantly jumped to the top with it. The presenter was shocked, congratulating our hero because he is the fastest participant, completing the test in 1 minute and 23 seconds. Chandler suggested waiting with congratulations and watching how the second participant completed the test. The presenter agreed and drew the audience's attention to the second participant. The presenter shouted, "Forward," and the guy rushed to the first test. But not even a few seconds had passed before he slipped and fell into the water. Nona started laughing loudly at the guy, calling him awkward and clumsy. The humiliated guy was given a life preserver, and he fought off the lifeguard. And from the shore, he was told that he was very fast. Chandler stood on the edge of the pool and congratulated the guy, because he was able to pass the test in just 1 minute. The teacher approached our hero, admiring his speed, and he gave the girl a medal so that she could exchange it for a prize. The teacher, blushing, kissed our hero on the cheek and thanked him. Nona got angry when she saw the kiss and asked why she did that. The teacher replied that it was her way of saying thank you, and asked why she was angry. The guy got out of the water and said that such a competition is not good because our hero is too fast, and suggested that he arrange a race to solve everything. Chandler agreed on the condition that if he won, the guy would do whatever he ordered. Nona began to worry and told Chandler in his ear that the guy was an excellent racer and he would definitely lose. Our hero said that she didn't need to worry because he was a professional racer. In the evening, everyone gathered at the racetrack. The guy and Nona were already standing and waiting for our hero, and he was amused that Chandler was chickening out and didn't come and suggested calling him. The girl indignantly replied that he was not a coward and he just needed more time to get here. The guy hugged the girl, asking how she could fall in love with a taxi driver, and she replied that he could not compare with our hero. Our hero arrived at the scene in his usual car, in which he works as a taxi driver. The guy was shocked and asked why Chandler arrived in such a broken-down car. He made fun of it by asking if our hero had really arrived after his shift in a taxi, but Chandler told him to start quickly because he wanted to go to bed early. The guy decided to repeat the conditions that the winner does whatever he wants with the loser, and our hero thought that he would use the magic driver skill. "Let's get started," the guy ordered, approaching his car. Getting into the car, Chandler saw that Nona was already sitting there. He asked what she was doing here, and the girl replied that these were the rules, and a girl must sit in the passenger seat. Chandler said that these rules were meaningless and asked the girl to buckle up. The girl in the cap at the start cheerfully asked if the riders were ready to start. She waved the flag in her hands and shouted, "Start!" The cars rushed forward and our hero's car was left behind, while the car in front was rapidly moving away. Nona was worried and asked our hero why they were driving so slowly. Chandler said they didn't need to rush and that the only thing that mattered in the race was the turns. He pressed the gas pedal, telling the girl to hold on, and accelerated. The girl shouted in the car that the finish was close and they needed to go faster. Chandler calmly asked why she was screaming so loudly. "It's more fun," the girl smiled, and our hero said that he was really tired of her. They saw a sign warning them about a turn, and the guy said that they need to get ready for the turn. The guy watched our hero and decided that he was crazy because he was accelerating when turning. Chandler turned the steering wheel to the left as he entered the turn. Having passed the turn at higher speed, our hero easily overtook the guy's car. The guy was shocked as he watched Chandler pass him on the turn. Grabbing the handle, the girl, blushing, said that our hero is very good at drifting. She screamed again that Chandler was amazing, and unable to resist, began asking her to go even faster. The guy covered one ear and asked Nona if he didn't ask her not to scream. The guy took the lead again, but Chandler did not lag behind and was on his tail. The blonde began to worry that he was catching up with them and asked to go faster, but the guy relaxedly said that Chandler would not be able to overtake him and in general he could win even with his eyes closed. The guy meanly cut off our hero's black car. Nona got angry and shouted that the guy was resorting to such a vile trick because he was afraid he wouldn't be able to win. But no matter how the guy tried to break away, our hero had almost caught up with him. Chandler said he was going to pass him on the turn and asked the girl to hold on tight, and she said that he couldn't because the guy was blocking his lane. Approaching the turn, our hero pressed the gas pedal again, accelerating. Chandler passed a guy who complained that he was crazy for getting so close on the turn and thought he was looking for trouble. At the turn, our hero again overtook the guy's car, taking the lead. The girl was shocked by this maneuver and called for help. The guy could not understand how our hero managed to accelerate on turns and overtake him. Our hero was able to overtake the guy's car and was the first to reach the finish line. Nona quickly ran out of the car. Our hero also went out and watched the girl run away from the car because she was throwing up. The blonde tried to calm the guy down, saying that this was just an amateur race that didn't mean anything and said that our hero was just lucky. The guy clenched his fist and shouted that it was all because of her. He hit the girl with a flourish and said that if he had not stood up for her, he would not have lost face. He pulled the girl away from the car by her hair and she screamed that she was scared. "Get lost!" the guy shouted and pushed her towards Chandler standing next to her. Nona got angry and asked why he pushed the girl towards our hero. Chandler said that he didn't like her and that he could keep her, pushing the girl away from him. Our hero smiled evilly and told the guy to get on his knees, and he asked if this was a way to punish the loser. Chandler recalled the agreement that the winner could order everything to the loser. He suggested that the guy was simply afraid of losing face due to loss. The guy got mad, asked who Chandler thinks he is, since he asks him to kneel, and confirmed that he wants to hit him. Chandler quickly ran up to the guy. He kicked the standing guy in the stomach with force. The guy fell to his knees coughing, and our hero said that it would be better for him if he obeyed. He grabbed the frightened guy by the neck and warned that if he did not obey, a terrible death awaited him. The guys watching the scene rushed towards them, yelling for Chandler to stop. Our hero turned angrily to them and asked if they also wanted to fight with him. Nona ran up to the guy, grabbed his hand, and said that he shouldn't get his hands dirty. Chandler removed his hand from the guy's neck and he coughed, trying to breathe. "You're crazy!" the guy shouted, and Chandler replied that he would show what crazy means if he doesn't admit defeat. The guy asked if he knew who his father was, and Nona asked why he was acting like a child. He said that he would not invite him here. He simply reminded him that the matter was not over yet, and he would definitely take revenge for the humiliation. Chandler said with a smile that he even wondered who his father was. The guy replied that his father is the CEO of Dachen, and our hero replied that this does not change anything. The guy said that he warned our hero, and that in 3 days he would face problems. He got into the car and quickly drove away, and Chandler said that he was just a coward. Our hero headed to the car and asked the blonde why she was looking at him like that. The girl replied that she now belonged to him and wanted to be with him. Chandler replied that he was not interested in her as he climbed into the car, but the girl stopped him. Nona asked, "Does the girl really have no self-respect?" The blonde replied that her ex-boyfriend said that these were the terms of the bet and that she now belonged to Chandler. Nona got angry and pushed the girl and said that he can say whatever he wants. Why does she believe him, and drove her away? The girl opened the car door. Chandler asked why she was interrupting again, and the girl replied that she had to look after him or he would be stolen. The girl offered to go, adding that Chandler wanted to relax today. He asked if she wanted to go to him, and the girl agreed. The guy said that he was against it, and the girl was indignant. Why did he then offer her this and asked him to take her home? The car left the racetrack. Half an hour later, our hero said that they had arrived and asked the girl to leave. He said as Nona left that she looked great, but it would be better if she dressed more modestly. The red-haired girl waved her hand to our hero's leaving car. Chandler thought he might take a couple more orders. He arrived at the hotel building for another order. He asked the guy standing there if he called a taxi, and the guy said yes. Looking at the guy in the back seat, our hero thought that he looked upset. Something must have happened at the hotel. 20 minutes later, our hero said that they had arrived at the bridge that the guy had pointed out and asked where he should stop. A guy with a sad look told him to stop in the middle of the bridge. Chandler stopped at the indicated place, asked not to forget things, and asked to use their taxi next time. The guy repeated the last words of our hero and added that maybe in the next life. Chandler was surprised to hear these words and wondered if the guy was talking about suicide. Our hero followed the departing guy with a stern look. He shouted, checking with the guy that he was here to enjoy the beautiful view of the river. The guy replied that he saw no point in enjoying the view of the river and asked what was the point of living if it seemed meaningless. Our hero asked if he had a quarrel with his partner, and the guy replied that it was not just a quarrel, but betrayal. Chandler said that since he was cheated on, it's not the guy's fault, why blame yourself, and added that he was also cheated on. But he didn't give up, and asked the guy not to give up. The guy on the bridge turned around and asked if his boyfriend had cheated on our hero. Chandler said yes, but he still didn't finish the sentence. Then it dawned on him what exactly the guy said, and he asked in shock, "What guy?" Suddenly, the guy on the bridge said that he felt enlightened and asked our hero to take him back. Chandler was embarrassed, saying that his shift was already over and suggested that the boy call another car. But the boy said that no one would take him away at such a late hour, clinging to our hero. He clung to Chandler and asked to take him home, and if he decides to commit suicide again, it will not be on the conscience of our hero, and he replied that if it was on his way, he would think about it. The guy replied that he lived in Hailan, and Chandler agreed, adding that it was not far away. Our hero approached the car, invited the boy to get in, and he gladly accepted the offer. Arriving at the apartment building, our hero announced that they had arrived. The boy with a smile on his face invited our hero to have tea with him, as if he didn't want to commit suicide recently. Chandler politely refused, saying that he did not want tea but wanted to go home and rest. The boy invited our hero to exchange phone numbers, but he refused and asked him to get out of the car. The guy tisked displeasedly as he got out of the car and slammed the door forcefully. After the guy left, the system congratulated our hero on his new bad review and awarded him 100 million virtual currency, adding that they can only be spent on buying virtual goods. Our hero thought about what he could spend the virtual currency on, and the only thoughts that came to his mind were donations on streams. It was late at night when our hero returned to his villa. Chandler took a shower, and when he got out, he couldn't decide what to watch. Our hero on his phone opened a stream of a girl who asked to support her with a gift and thought that she was pretty cute. Chandler pressed the rocket icon on his phone, sending the girl a gift. Showing a heart, the girl thanked our hero for the rocket and offered to order a song, and she would sing it. Chandler asked to sing The Lonely Swimmer, and the girl agreed, asking her to wait a couple of minutes. Someone under the nickname Smoking Alone answered our hero, and asked if he was really studying in elementary school, and the girl asked them to swear. Chandler wrote back that he liked the song, and if he had anything against it, he could just leave. The girl tried to attract the attention of our hero, saying that she was starting to perform a song. Everyone in the comments discussed how big a donation our hero had made. Some complained that they could not earn that amount in a year, and others asked our hero to hire them. A stocky man with the nickname Smoking Alone admitted that our hero is richer than other users and said that he had already spent 500,000 on gifts, and if he asked, the girl would stop singing. The stream displayed a message that Smoking Alone sent 100 rockets to the girl, and the girl happily thanked him. The girl saw that our hero under the nickname Secret Star also began sending rockets, 800 at once. The girl apologized to the audience and said that she needed to leave. She took the phone and invited our hero to meet for dinner, but he refused, saying that he spends money just for fun. The girl decided that our hero was a big shot because he sent her 1,000 missiles, but said that he was not interested in her. Chandler suggested that Smoking continue the competition alone. The man angrily put out his cigarette in the ashtray standing next to him. He wrote that it was only 200,000 and invited our hero to continue tomorrow evening. The guy irritably asked the man why he decided to continue tomorrow evening. Then the guy saw a huge number of messages and was surprised why there were so many of them. Our hero was inundated with messages from other users who offered to come to their stream, sing to our hero, and boasted that they were better than the girls on air. The guy yawned and stretched sleepily, surprised at how strange the streams were. The next day the sun was shining brightly on the street, illuminating our hero's villa with its rays. Chandler woke up to the ringing phone that wouldn't stop. The guy sleepily answered the call. It was his aunt. She said that his cousin's entrance results had arrived. The woman happily reported that her daughter scored 610 points and invited our hero and Faye to come visit and help with choosing an institute. The guy replied that he would arrive today and added that he broke up with Faye because she found a rich man and left our hero. The woman was in shock. Wondering how she could do this after everything that our hero had done for her family, she encouraged the guy, promising to cook his favorite food, and the guy said that he would come soon. After some time, our hero got ready, came to visit his aunt, and knocked on the door. His cousin met him on the threshold and immediately asked if he and Faye really broke up. The girl was happy about this news, adding that she always told Chandler that she was a terrible girl, and her aunt asked why she said that. The girl repeated her opinion that Faye is a terrible girl and added that now everyone sees that she was right. Chandler pulled the girl by the cheek and asked if she really scored 610 points, and the girl laughingly replied that there was nothing like that. Chandler congratulated the girl, saying that she beat him in exam results and asked what university she wanted to go to. Pouring water into a glass, the girl said that she had not yet decided and asked our hero for advice. He asked what the girl would like to do, and she replied that she wanted to become a specialist in the white-collar field. Chandler said many of these jobs lead to office work and asked what industry she would like to work in. The girl smiled embarrassedly and said that she could not decide yet. A woman came into the room and said that she had found a new girl for our hero. She was 23 years old. She was a presenter and offered to make an appointment with her. The guy was embarrassed and complained that his aunt was choosing a new girl for him very quickly. He said that he didn't want to date anyone yet, and in response, his aunt said that he was almost 30 and offered to add the girl as a friend. The girl said that our hero had better agree, otherwise the woman would remind her of this every day. The guy accepted the advice and, giving in, added the girl as a friend. The woman reminded the guy not to forget to write to this girl and went on to prepare dinner. The cousin suggested opening the photo of the girl so that she could evaluate whether she was good or bad. Having opened the photo, the guy was very surprised to see the same girl from the air, and was amazed at how small the world is. Looking at the girl's photo, the cousin said that she was definitely a treacherous woman. Chandler asked in surprise why she made that decision based on just one photo. The cousin showed the photos and said that the girl in them is showing her bags, or is in tourist places. She is treacherous, the cousin added. The aunt heard the conversation and, looking out from the kitchen, asked the girl not to say nonsense. The cousin answered my mother that she had only been at home for a few days, but she was already starting to irritate her and decided to spend the night with our hero today. She also said that if she left, she would not come back, which made the woman angry and said that she would deal with her as soon as she finished cooking. The girl turned to our hero and asked him to take her to visit, and he said that she had not decided on the choice of institute. A woman from the kitchen shouted at him not to listen to his cousin and to invite that girl to dinner. The aunt said that if he didn't do this, she would be angry, and the guy agreed to invite her to dinner. The guy began to doubt, because the girl is a talented presenter, whether he could invite her to dinner. The woman smiled conspiratorially and said that she'd already agreed with her mother that she would definitely come. The cousin took the phone and invited our hero to invite the girl on a date, saying that she knew a good way. Auntie threatened that if the girl screws up, she will kill her, but the girl asked her mother not to be distracted from cooking. The girl was surprised because she sent so many messages and received only hee-hee in response. Chandler laughed and asked if she hadn't spoken who knows about this matter. The girl gave the phone and said that judging by the messages, she was becoming more and more convinced that she was a bad person and asked our hero to be careful. The woman came in with a saucepan in her hands and announced that dinner was ready and it was time to eat. Chandler was delighted with the smell of the food, and the woman said she prepared an extra portion so he could take it home when he left. Our hero's phone, lying on the table, beeped and a new message appeared on the screen. The cousin read that the girl agreed to have dinner at the Baogal Hotel and added that it was too luxurious a place for a first date. The woman was embarrassed by such a proposal and said that it's okay, he doesn't have to go, it's too expensive there. Chandler asked not to worry because he had a good income and suggested that they eat before the food got cold. That evening, our hero arrived at the Baogal Hotel. Our hero was sitting at the table and looking at the phone. He understood why the girl was already an hour late. He was beside himself with indignation and thought that if she was not going to come, there was no need to promise, and not to come would be rude. Chandler could not stand it and wrote a message that he had been waiting for an hour, and the girl replied that her phone was dead and she was already coming. The guy got angry and wrote that he had already left, adding that she might not come. He was indignant why he spent so much money on the girl last night. Chandler looked at the table laden with dishes and thought that the food here was not as tasty as his aunt's. Chandler called the waiter and a smiling girl approached him, asking what he wanted. Our hero asked the girl to warm up his food, which surprised the waitress. The couple at the next table started laughing and whispering, thinking that our hero had come to the diner and if the waitress would agree then they won't come here anymore. Chandler calmly explained that his aunt prepared this food for him, so he asked him to warm it up. The girl, hiding her irritation, replied that they do not provide such services.
Our hero offered to buy their most expensive bottle of wine in exchange.
The couple at the next table was shocked that they could afford such expensive wine, because it cost tens of thousands. The waitress agreed, took his food, and said that she would prepare everything, and our hero thanked her. Suddenly that same girl appeared in the hall, arm in arm with some guy, and our hero was shocked that she came. As he sipped his wine, he thought it was a good thing he hadn't sent her his photo. But contrary to hopes, the girl recognized him, surprised that he still had not left, and our hero realized that his aunt had sent his photo. The man asked if he was an ex-boyfriend, and the girl replied that she was supposed to be on a blind date with him. He smiled sarcastically and said that then they should get to know each other better. The man approached our hero and asked if he could sit down, but our hero refused him. The man said that he would watch their blind date on the sidelines and turned to the girl, saying that it was important, and she embarrassedly asked him not to joke like that. The girl pointed to the time and asked if the man didn't need to compete with the secret star. Our hero realized that this was the same smoking alone with whom they were having a competition today. The man asked if our hero wanted to go on a date with a girl, and he answered no, because he didn't see the point in it. The man laughed loudly, and hugging the girl, said that this was a good decision. Sitting down at his table, the man asked if their date was canceled. The girl answered that she agreed only because his aunt and her mother knew each other, and she would never fall in love with such a guy. The man told the girl to order whatever she wanted, and she asked if he really wanted to have a competition with the secret star. The man told her not to worry, because he had prepared 10 million, which made the girl delighted, calling the man amazing. A waitress approached our hero and brought heated food. At that moment, two girls entered the hall. One of them had a selfie stick and was recording a video. The girl approached our hero and asked if he was free, and he thought that she was another streamer. The girl asked if she could sit down and talk to our hero, but he refused. The girl came closer, saying that he looked young. Then she saw his ears, and saying that they were big. She asked to touch them. Our hero pushed her hand away and said that if she continued, he would sue for sexual harassment. The girl thought that the guy was very arrogant, and if it weren't for the stream script, she definitely wouldn't have approached him. The second girl started crying, saying that Chandler was very rude. The guy was shocked that the girl burst into tears because of this, and she said that they were just small streamers and asked to give them some slack. The guy asked her to stop crying and asked what platform she was streaming on. The girl introduced herself and said that she streams on the Teasing Fish platform. Our hero asked if she needed donations, and the crying girl replied that this was her main source of income. The guy pointed to the girl who had pushed him on a date and asked him to arrange a battle with her, and he would help. She replied that she would be glad to donate, but this streamer had 2 big donators yesterday and is unlikely to win. Our hero said that if she needs donations, then she needs to start a battle and he will help, or she can forget about it. Chandler asked for the bill, and the waitress said his bill was $259,000. The little streamers were shocked by such a bill, wondering that he could order something like that here. The waitress replied that he had ordered almost nothing. That was the cost of 2 bottles of wine. Recently, a girl who was crying thought that since he could order such expensive wine, he would definitely help her get rich, and agreed to challenge the streamer. Confidently in white shoes, the girl approached the table. The girl turned to the streamer, asking if she was doing this. She confirmed, and asked, "Is she a fan?" The girl replied that she was also a streamer, and that she wanted to challenge her, and invited her to fight in a streamer battle. The streamer laughed at the girl's proposal, and, pointing to the man, asked if she knew who was in front of her. The girl answered in the negative and asked who this man was. The streamer proudly replied that this is her best donor, Smoking Alone. The man asked the girl what her nickname was, and added that if he had time, he would come in and donate to her too. The girl was taken aback by this offer, thanked her, but refused. She turned to the streamer and asked if she agreed, but she laughed and asked if she wanted to poach her audience. The streamer turned to the man and asked if he would help her, and the man was happy because the girl turned to him. Turning to our hero, the girl thought whether she should trust him. The streamer noticed the girl's gaze and asked if she really threw down the challenge because our hero asked her to. The man said that our hero looked like an office worker, and that he shouldn't have believed him, adding that she looked pretty, but was quite stupid. The girl was angry that the man got personal and asked whether the streamer agreed to the challenge or not. The man told the streamer to accept the challenge and he would easily bankrupt our hero. The streamer agreed to participate in the battle, and the girl set the time at 10 o'clock in the evening. They turned around and saw that our hero had already left, and no one noticed when. The girl did not understand why he left because she had started the battle and was worried whether he had deceived them. The girl with the selfie stick suggested they leave because they had already filmed enough material. Night had already fallen on the city, and the stars were shining brightly in the sky above our hero's villa. Chandler was fast asleep, his bed still in his bed, with his phone in his hands. Suddenly he jumped up, deciding that he had overslept, and immediately looked at the phone screen. He opened the stream on his phone and saw that the girls had already started the battle. Seeing that our hero had connected, the streamer was delighted and greeted him, and said that now she would definitely win. Our hero clicked on the rocket icon on the phone screen. The streamer was shocked that our hero gave the gift not to her, but to her rival, and she was very happy about it. The streamer approached the man and asked him to help her, because she couldn't lose. The girl thanked our hero and asked why he sent the gift to her. Chandler replied that it didn't matter, and asked her to sing the song The Lone Warrior, and while she was singing, the guy would give her gifts. The girl said that she would sing right now, and taking the microphone in her hands, immediately began to sing the ordered song. The girl asked what song he would like to hear, and our hero replied that in the restaurant she was flirting with everyone and asked to demonstrate it. It dawned on the girl who was crying in the restaurant that our hero was the secret star. Everyone started asking if she really wanted to go to the hotel with him, if they were dating. But the girl denied everything and said that they met by chance. The girl continued to say that our hero asked her to fight in the battle, and then the streamer realized that he was her secret donor. Chandler turned to Smoking Alone and asked him to continue sending gifts because he wanted to give him a little head start. Suddenly, a message appeared in the chat from Smoking Alone saying that he would no longer send gifts. The girl said that our hero sent her a photo and now she will show it. The message was from Smoking Alone. He offered to deliberately lose to our hero, invited him to the room, and promised that the streamer would meet him personally. The streamer shouted that it was fake and that you shouldn't believe in this photo, calling them vile because they are trying to set the girl up. Looking at the phone screen, she repeated that the photo was definitely fake when a man approached her from behind. The man hugged the girl and asked why she should humiliate herself with explanations in front of these losers, and that he could win beautiful girls while other guys were only fantasizing. He pressed the girl tighter and she screamed for him to let her go, and the man asked if he didn't have privileges for all the gifts he gave. The frightened girl once again asked to let her go and turn off the broadcast. The man said that he would not let her go and turned to our hero, saying that his girlfriend was in the arms of another man and he would do whatever he wanted with her. The guys burst into the room where the man and the streamer were, opening the door with their feet. 3 guys in black entered the room with serious faces, and a surprised man asked what was going on. The guys tied up the man, and when the girl asked what was going on, they answered that he was suspected of embezzling the state budget and they needed to interrogate him and the girl would help them. A guy in a black suit approached the girl and asked her to turn off the stream and follow them. The broadcast was interrupted by a call from his aunt, and Chandler wondered why she was calling so late. The woman said a friend told her daughter had been arrested and asked what was going on. Chandler said that her main admirer was wasting public money, so they were arrested, and added that everything was fine with him. The woman calmed down when she heard the guy's answer and said goodbye to him. The next day, our hero arrived at the residential complex for a new order. He stopped and called the passenger, saying that he had arrived at the gate of a residential complex. They told him that they would come soon and asked him to wait a little longer. 10 minutes later, our hero called again and asked where the passenger was, but she replied that she didn't know. He clarified where exactly she was now, and the girl replied that she had been walking for 10 minutes but could not find a way out. Our hero went to a meeting and asked the girl to describe which building she was next to, and she replied that she was near building number 30, adding that she had a seminar today and she shouldn't be late. Chandler approached the girl sitting on the path and asked if she had called a taxi. Pressing the phone to her chest, the girl replied that it was her. Chandler extended his hand to her and asked her not to cry, promising that he would help. Finally, our hero found his passenger and they got into the car. Chandler asked to buckle up and said that they were now heading to the Manhwa Hotel. The girl complained that drivers used to wait no more than 3 minutes and then cancel the order. Our hero asked not to blame other drivers, because no one knew that she could get lost in her own complex. The girl said that she liked Yuana, and that she was the author of web novels. But she had terrible sense of direction, and our hero asked what her pseudonym was, promising to subscribe and support. She said that her pseudonym is Lan and she writes romance novels that a guy is unlikely to like. The guy was glad that he still had 80 million of virtual currency left. They arrived at the right hotel and the girl sincerely thanked our hero for his help. The girl said that she would contact him if she needed help and asked him to pick her up on the way back. Chandler promised to come and the satisfied girl went to the hotel. Our hero found Yuana's account, looked at how many subscribers she had in her work, and clicked the subscribe button. There was a solemn atmosphere in the hotel hall and everything was hung with balloons. A woman in the center of the hall with a microphone in her hand thanked everyone who had come and someone shouted her name and nickname. Yuana was sitting in the hall when her phone notified her of a new message. On the phone screen it was written, "Congratulations on the gift of the Golden Master." The girl immediately guessed that the prize was from our hero and was surprised how an ordinary taxi driver could give so much. The girl wrote to Chandler, asking if he had sent a donation, and he replied that he had read her novel and liked it. The guy continued by saying that it was a pretty popular idol novel, and the girl laughed happily. Her laughter attracted everyone in the room, and the girl in the next seat asked what made her laugh so much. Yuana happily showed her phone and said that she had received the Golden Master Award. The girls opened Yuana's profile on their phones and were surprised that she actually received the award. The woman on stage said that since she received such a high award, it means her work is very good and asked to share her writing experience. Yuana sheepishly replied that she was a small writer and received the award from the driver who brought her. She assumed that he liked her work, so he sent a gift. The woman said that she had read Yuana's work and it was not worth 100,000, and added that perhaps the girl had an arrangement with the driver. The girl was outraged and suggested calling the guy to find out everything. Our hero's phone rang and the writer's name appeared on the screen. He answered the call, and the girl immediately asked him to explain why he decided to support her. The guy asked why he had to explain something. He immediately realized that they didn't believe the girl, so he said that he would donate 10 times more when everyone believed her. One girl wondered since when taxi drivers became so rich, and the second said that Yuana had received a second reward of 10 million. A ball containing coins appeared on the writer's page, informing her that 10 million had been donated to her. The woman asked in surprise who this man was, and she replied that it was an ordinary taxi driver. Yuana assumed that our hero is a member of a rich family but hides it, and how at the end of the novel, he will return to the house to inherit the property. The woman came closer to Yuana and said that this was bad. She continued by saying that you can't rely on some rich guy to boost your popularity, and the girl reiterated that she doesn't know why he did that. With tears in her eyes, she took her purse and said that since they didn't believe her, she was leaving. The woman invited the others to continue and added that the girl's popularity will not grow in one day with the help of such manipulations. The tear-stained girl ran out into the street and dialed our hero and asked, "Where is he now?" Chandler asked in surprise why she was crying and where she was now, and the girl replied that she was accused of a dishonest way to increase popularity. Our hero replied that his support caused trouble for the girl and asked where she was now, and received the answer that she was at the hotel. He went to the girl and told her that he would arrive now. Arriving at the hotel, the guy immediately saw Yuana, who continued to cry. The girl sat in the back seat, still crying, and said that no one believed her, and everyone thought it was a setup. The guy asked the girl not to cry, saying, "Let them think what they want. The main thing is that she received his support." The girl smiled and agreed with the guy, saying that she didn't need to worry about what others would think, thanking the guy for his advice. Chandler stepped up the gas and offered to take the girl home. Yuana asked if she could ask if he was the son of a rich family who was hiding it and would later return to inherit the property. Our hero replied that he was a simple taxi driver. He just had a lot of money and could spend it recklessly. The girl asked that he was just a rich man who had a lot of money, and the guy agreed. The sun was shining brightly outside when our hero brought the girl to the apartment complex. The girl came out and said goodbye to our hero, and he said goodbye in return. Our hero's phone attached to the panel rang. The guy asked where Chandler was, and he asked if he had come to High. The boy replied that he had recently arrived and asked our hero to come as soon as possible, because he had a surprise. And Chandler replied that he would arrive now. Our hero arrived in a place called High. He got out of the car and ran towards the entrance to the building. The guy turned to the girl working in the cafe and said that she began to look even better, and the girl replied that our hero was heartless because he did not return after graduation. The girl said that 3 classmates were already waiting upstairs and offered to accompany the guy, and he immediately understood what surprise the boy was talking about. Our hero turned to the girl and said that he would come there himself, asking her to tell her the room number. The girl replied that they were in room 203, and the guy went there, thanking the girl. Chandler knocked on the door of the room and said loudly that he was here. The boy opened the door and joyfully told our hero that he was glad to finally see him. Chandler asked if he couldn't say that he was returning, and the guy replied that he had an unscheduled interview. "And these two?" our hero asked, pointing to the hidden guys. The guys came out and hugged Chandler, happy that they met again, and asked if he was happy about their surprise. Our hero replied that the surprise was not bad, and suggested that the girls had abandoned them. Otherwise, they would not have returned. The guys were shocked, surprised how our hero realized this so quickly. One guy said that he had bad memories, and the second added that tonight was a night without talking about women. The girl came into the room with a box of drinks and said she brought food and drinks. Chandler sat down at the table and offered everyone a drink with a smile. 4 guys raised their glasses, shouting a toast, "To your health." One guy said that his ex left him because he couldn't buy her all sorts of expensive things. And the second said that his ex's mom said that he was too poor because he couldn't buy a house and forced them to break up. The third guy said his girlfriend is better, but she wants the guy to buy a house and marry her. Chandler said it was more difficult for him because he had money, but the girl still cheated on him. The guy asked why our hero continues to work as a taxi driver because he invested in the Baoking Hotel, and he replied that he likes free work. Our hero asked if the guys had found work, and one answered that everyone had found one, except him. Chandler asked if he wanted to work for an advertising company. The guy happily replied that he would like to, and had often planned various events and holidays before. Chandler said he would take the guy to his advertising company tomorrow, filling his glass with booze. They clinked glasses, and our hero said that if he passed the interview, they would work together. Another guy asked if he could also apply to his company to get a job. The third boy also joined the conversation and asked that he not be forgotten. A female voice said that excellent food was sold on this street, approaching the cafe where the guys were relaxing. The girl was streaming and telling listeners that she often comes here to eat. In the frame, the girl saw our hero's car parked behind her. She asked for more likes, then she would come up and show the car closer. The girl said that although she looks ordinary, her characteristics are impressive, and she described in more detail that the car is very powerful. Chandler told the guys that he paid the bill this time, but next time they would pay. A drunken friend with a red face and a satisfied smile said that Chandler is the best. They went out to the parking lot, and one of the guys, seeing our hero's car, was surprised that even here there were such expensive cars. Chandler wanted to say that this was his car, but he heard the girl say that this car had one big drawback. Our hero approached the girl in surprise, and the guys asked where he had gone. The girl repeated again that the car has a flaw, like many high-class cars. One of the guys suggested that it was a matter of high fuel consumption, but the girl replied that the owners of such cars do not think about fuel consumption at all. Chandler asked what the problem was, and the girl said that it was all about the air conditioning system. The girl in the passenger seat would get hot, and she would start taking off her clothes. Our hero clearly did not expect such an answer, and laughed embarrassedly. The girl asked if they were graduates, and Chandler replied that they graduated last year. The girl smiled and asked if she could add them to the chat so they could hang out together. Chandler refused because they didn't know each other well and suggested that the guys order a taxi, and one of them asked how his car was. The boy offered to call a sober driver and asked where his car was. Chandler replied that they definitely needed another driver, and pointing to the car said that it was her. Everyone was shocked by what they heard, including the streamer's girlfriend. Chandler replied that he was serious and took out the keys and turned off the alarm. The guys hugged our hero, surprised at how rich he was, and said that they would have gotten a job with him long ago. While the guys were looking at the car, our hero said that he sent another car for repairs, and immediately added that he was not bragging. The guys said that they were happy for our hero, smiling contentedly at him. Another guy said that he would join his company tomorrow, and our hero said that they need to call a taxi. When a yellow taxi pulled up, the guys said a warm goodbye and waved to each other. The girl asked our hero to add her to the chat, but he turned up and added that he needed to call the driver, and she needed to broadcast her own broadcast. Suddenly, the girl offered to take our hero, smiling contentedly. Chandler asked if she would be hot, and she offered to give him a ride, and in exchange he would let her broadcast inside. The guy opened the car door and agreed, inviting the girl to sit down. The girl addressed the audience and invited them to experience the sensations of driving a luxury car. Our hero asked in surprise if she was a good driver. The girl replied with a smile that she was an excellent driver and could be trusted. The guy agreed, and throwing his hands behind his head, asked to be taken to the bins area. The girl turned to the audience, asking if they had heard that the guy was traveling to the bins area, where villas cost from 100 million. They drove up to a beautiful arch which was brightly illuminated by sunlight. Having passed under the arch, the male guard waved his hand at them, letting them through. The girl asked where she should go next. Our hero replied that she should go to Villa number 1 and stop there near the bridge. They drove up to Villa number 1, and the girl enthusiastically asked if it was her. The girl pointed to the villa and said that he wants to drink, asking for a visit. Getting out of the car, our hero said that he lives alone and does not invite guests. He thanked her for giving him a lift and asked to return home. And the girl was surprised because he did not pay attention to her. The girl raised her hand to her large, chic breasts, slightly enlarging the neckline of her jacket. The girl took a seductive pose and straightened her hair, asked if he was sure. Our hero once again asked her to come back because he wanted to rest. Looking after the leaving guy, the girl thought that he was really ignorant. The girl turned to her subscribers and said that, since they rarely get to visit such a chic place, she will show them around. A man approached the girl and asked which villa she was from. The girl replied that she had brought the guy from Villa number 1. The man pushed the girl out, saying that strangers were not allowed to be here, and the girl left in confusion. The girl got angry and was perplexed by his behavior for a long time, indignant at why he thought that he was in charge. She said that he was a simple security guard, but did not let them just walk around the neighborhood, and ended the stream. They called the girl and said that they decided to give her another chance. Today, she will have a battle with another streamer, and if she wins, they will extend the contract. They added that if the girl loses, they will terminate the contract, and the girl agreed to the terms. Chandler was sitting on the couch in the living room when he received a new message. The girl in the video said that today she will have a battle with another streamer, and if she loses, they will break off contact with her and ask for help. Commentators began to write that the girl could not win, and that it was not worth raising her popularity using such cheap methods, but the girl said that she would try to win. Looking at the stream, Chandler thought that they were now at the peak of popularity, and he should start his own company. He decided to wait for the girl to lose and invite her to make contact. The girl's rival offered a bet if she loses, she can ask for anything, and if she wins, the girl will jump 10 times. The blonde turned to subscribers and said that if she wins, the girl will jump and asked to support her. Commentators began writing to the girl that if she jumped or did a handstand, they would support her. The girl got angry and shouted at them. Do they really think that by humiliating others they look cool? The girl wrote to the boss and asked why they were insulting her. And the boss replied that he didn't care and she needed to win. With tears in her eyes, the girl asked why they were behaving this way, what she had done wrong. The secret star sent the girl a gift and she asked not to send her any more gifts. The guy wrote a message in response that he could not watch her being bullied. The girl burst into tears and said that she could no longer stand the bullying and insults. The girl invited him to sing and asked him not to give gifts anymore because her boss gets 70%. The guy replied that it's not scary. He just wants to support the girl, because if she has to jump, it will be awkward. She needs to win and force her opponent to do it. The girl said with tears of joy that she had won and thanked our hero. She turned to her rival and said that since the guy wanted it, then she needed to jump, and she replied that she didn't mind. The blonde girl started jumping around with a straight face, her hands on her hips. Suddenly, the button on her shirt came undone, exposing her underwear. A message appeared on her phone screen that the stream contained sexually explicit materials, and the account was blocked forever. Chandler laughed out loud while sitting on the couch and said it was amazing. Our hero arrived for a new order, listening to the radio, which was broadcasting that it had rained in a neighboring city for the first time in 100 years, and millions of people were suffering. The guy in the white shirt waved to the approaching car and shouted to our hero that he was here. His former classmate asked if our Bliss really works on this machine. Chandler replied that this was not just a car for work and invited the guy to get in. He would give him a ride. Once in the car, the guy said that his car was luxurious and that he had really achieved great success. The guys arrived at Xing's office building, where the office of our hero's new advertising company was located. The manager ran up to the car saying that our hero could call him if he needed anything, and not come in person. Chandler introduced the guy and said that he was his classmate and wanted to get a job with him. The manager shook the guy's hand and said that if he needed help, he could always contact him. The manager led the guys to the elevator and pressed the call button. He invited the guys to come in and said that he would not detain them any longer. The guy asked our hero why the manager was so polite to him, wondering if the service here was really so good. With a smile on his face, Chandler said he recently bought the entire building. The guy was so shocked by this news that our hero had to take his hand to prevent him from falling. He asked how our hero was able to buy this building, because it cost several million, and he replied that it was enough for him to just know that he was the owner. Chandler said that if someone offends a guy, all he has to do is tell him or his manager, and the guy joked that he wanted to write an article about him. Seeing Chandler, Susie stood up and greeted him with a wide smile. Chandler said hello and introduced John, saying that he was a new employee. He asked Susie to organize a workplace for him, and the girl immediately escorted him to the table, inviting him to sit down. Chandler pointed to the door and said that he had to go to work. While leaving the building, our hero received a call. Looking at the screen, he saw that it was Yuana calling. The girl asked if he could pick her up at 7 in the evening to accompany her to a classmate's birthday, and asked him to dress up. Chandler was surprised by the request to dress well and asked who he was, the driver or her boyfriend. The girl asked him to pretend to be her boyfriend so that he could protect her, and in return she would invite him to the movies. Chandler agreed, saying that this would be compensation for the previous inconvenience. At the appointed time, our hero arrived at the residential complex. Yuana asked if our hero was a taxi driver. How did it happen that he had such a luxurious car, like the heroes of the novels? Our hero replied that since he was pretending to be her boyfriend, he decided to choose a better car. Yuana said that the car was amazing, and the guy replied that now none of her classmates would be able to bully it. The girl laughed and said that when everyone sees this car, no one will dare to laugh. Our couple arrived at the restaurant where dinner was scheduled. They approached the table and the girl exclaimed that Yuana had finally arrived. The girl asked who this guy was, and he replied that he was Yuana's boyfriend and was glad to meet everyone. The girl said the guy looked amazing and introduced herself. She asked Yuana why she didn't say that she had found a boyfriend. Blushing, the girl replied that they had recently started dating and she just didn't have time to tell. Chandler touched the girl's face with his fingers and said that he had been pursuing her for a long time and now would not allow them to part. The girls immediately started saying that it was too cheesy and that our hero made them feel awkward. The door to the hall where the heroes were sitting opened. The girl went to meet the newcomer, rejoicing that he had finally come. The girl introduced her boyfriend and added that they were going to get married at the end of the year and she was inviting them to the wedding. The girls clapped their hands joyfully, congratulating them. They filled their glasses with red wine. One of the girls asked what does her boyfriend do, and she answered that his family traded seafood. The girl who asked was surprised and said that her boyfriend is impressive. The same girl asked Yuana what her boyfriend was doing. The guy said that our hero looks good and his outfit is quite expensive. Chandler replied that he bought the outfit at a secondhand store and doesn't usually dress like that, and he works as a taxi driver. The girls asked how he managed to win Yuana because she has high standards and comes from a rich family, and she also spent millions on the development of her book. One of the girls asked how she could be so wasteful and spend so much money on a book. Our hero replied that he supported the book, not her, and that he sent her more than a dozen gifts so that she would notice him. Yuana replied that it is impossible to resist someone who is so generous in love. The guy asked if our hero really earns so much money working in a taxi and how much he now needs to save. Chandler replied that it doesn't matter because when you're courting a girl, you should be generous, and the guy agreed with him. A girl entered the hall and turned to the guy, asking him to move the car because it was blocking the passage. The guy replied that he had reserved a parking space in advance, but the manager said that it was busy and added that because of such service, the desire to come to this hotel disappears. Chandler gave his keys to the waitress so she could give them to the manager and ask him to park his car on the side of the road. Our hero said that the manager left the place, but gave it to Chandler and added that he was returning the place. The guy asked in shock if that sports car really belonged to our hero. Chandler replied that he decided to take this car as he was going to Yuana's friend's birthday party, and usually he drives a simpler car. The birthday girl said that it was a simple party, and there was no need to hide who her boyfriend worked. The girl smiled and said that he really works as a taxi driver, and it was he who brought her to the author's meeting. Another girl said, who knew that a taxi driver could be so rich. One of the guys asked where our hero worked, because he also wanted to get a job with him, and the second guy said that he couldn't earn that much as a taxi driver, and decided that he had rented a car. He warned Yuana, saying that she needed to be careful, but the girl replied that she believed in the sincerity of our hero. The guy asked how much this car cost and added that he knew all the dealers, but thought to himself that a simple taxi driver just wanted to show off in front of the girl. Chandler said that he knows the most popular one, so let him call and find out. The guy threw up his hands and said that his number was stored in another phone and invited Chandler to call himself. Our hero agreed, and without hesitation, dialed the number on the phone. The man on the other end was surprised by such a late call and asked if something had happened to the car, to which Chandler replied that his friend just wanted to find out about the purchase. The man found out the guy's name and said that there are a lot of scammers these days, warning our hero, shocking the guy and his girlfriend. With a smile, Chandler thanked the man for his concern. There was dead silence in the hall after this conversation. The silence was broken by the waiter, who said that they were afraid to move such an expensive car themselves. Chandler said that everything was fine, and even if the manager scratched her, he wouldn't have to pay for it. Chandler said that it was time for them to leave, and Ioana added that she did not have time to prepare a gift and would make amends next time. The birthday girl replied that everything was fine, and her appearance at the birthday party was already a gift. The girls said goodbye and the couple headed towards the exit from the hall. The manager entered the hall with a waiter who had drinks on a tray. The manager said Chandler bought them drinks and they wished the guys a good evening. The manager turned to the guy and said that he was sorry because he had given away the parking space, and he replied that he understood, because our hero arrived in a sports car. But the manager said that's not the case, because Chandler is the second largest shareholder of the hotel and gets priority for parking, and after today's incident, he asked for more parking. The guy was shocked to hear that our hero is the second largest shareholder of the Baoking Hotel. He asked us to convey his gratitude for the drinks to our hero. Chandler and Ioana returned to her apartment complex. Blushing, the girl asked if our hero would like to come visit her. The guy hugged her and said that she had better focus on writing her novels. The girl got out of the car and our hero drove away, shouting goodbye to her. Night fell on the city and the lights in the apartments of the multi-story building began to light up. Our hero called the next passengers and said that he had arrived at the place. 5 minutes later, he called again and said that he was still waiting, and the passenger replied that he would be right over. 15 minutes later, a guy approached the car, hugging a girl. Sitting in the back seat, the girl asked how long it would take them to get to their destination, and our hero replied that about 45 minutes. The guy asked why it was taking so long and said that they should get there in 30 minutes. He asked why the car stopped. Our hero said that the traffic light was red, and the guy replied that he should go to the red light. Chandler said that if they don't care about their lives, then he values her. And if they are in such a hurry, then they should have ordered a taxi earlier. And the guy got mad, asking why he was talking to passengers like that. Our hero asked what was wrong with his communication, and added that if it had been another driver, he would have canceled the order. The guy said there was no point in arguing and promised to leave a bad review. Our hero drove up to a red sign on the side of the road. Chandler's car stopped abruptly in front of a yellow taxi car. The girl screamed why they stopped again, and the guy said that if our hero doesn't know how to drive, then he will drive himself. Chandler loudly told the passengers to get out of the car. The guy looked around and said that he couldn't even catch a taxi here. How could he get out? Chandler, having heard the answer, got out of the car himself. He opened the passenger door and grabbed the guy by the shoulder and told them to leave, but the guy yelled that they weren't going anywhere. 2 policemen ran up to our hero's car, asking what was happening here. The girl said that our hero has a terrible attitude towards passengers. Chandler responded by saying that he had a camera in his car, and they could see everything themselves. After watching the recording, the policeman asked how passengers could be asked to break the rules and run through red lights, and the guy tried to make an excuse that he was too hasty. The policeman said that it was too hot, everyone was annoyed, and that they just needed to apologize to each other. The guy got angry and said that he was the vice president of the company and was not going to apologize to the taxi driver. The policeman asked Chandler to hand over their luggage and said that he could be free. As he left, Chandler said that he wished the guy would never be on time again. The system reported that a new negative review had been received, and for it, he received 67% of the shares of the security company, and if something happened to him, the security would sort everything out. Chandler wondered if it was too much to send security to deal with that guy. Chandler received a call, and was told that he had received a complaint from a passenger that he had behaved badly and attacked a client. Our hero sharply pressed the brake out of shock. He said that he had a video from the salon where everything was visible, and the caller asked our hero not to worry and to send the video. Chandler thanked the girl and asked if she wanted to have dinner. She replied that she would call when she was free. The guy was overjoyed that he was able to invite the support girl to dinner and decided that tomorrow he would pick up the shares and wait for her call. Our hero's morning began with a visit to a security company. The girl brought our hero to the manager and introduced him. The man shook hands with our hero, surprised at his young age, and our hero asked without formalities. The man handed him a share transfer document to sign and asked if anything else was needed. At that moment, our hero received a call. Our hero was informed that his house had been vandalized, that there was now a crowd of hooligans there who were threatening him. Having finished speaking, Chandler looked at the man and said that he needed his help. An hour later, they arrived at an apartment building. The realtor came running to our hero and said that his house could not be sold until they left. Chandler asked him not to worry, and asked where the people were who were preventing the sale. The realtor pointed to a group of guys sitting on the porch. Several men in black suits appeared behind our hero. Chandler pointed to the guys on the porch and ordered them to be taken. The guys started screaming why they were grabbed and asked to let them go. One guy begged to be spared and said they were just paid to destroy the house. Chandler asked who sent them, and the guy replied that it was Honey. Our hero pointed to the graffiti and said that if they painted it over, they would not be held accountable. The guys immediately agreed and said that they would do everything right away. Chandler thought that he had already handed over incriminating evidence about the company to Java Iola, but she did nothing and came to the conclusion that no one could be trusted, deciding that he would deal with them himself. Our hero arrived at the house of Hani's father, who is the owner of the Java company. Seeing our hero, the guy asked in surprise what he was doing here. Our hero replied that he himself should know why he was here. The man got angry and asked if he understood what he was doing, and Chandler asked to bring the guy. The security brought in a hooligan, and he said that it was Hani who ordered them to destroy our hero's house. The guy hit the bully and said that he was kind to him, but he turned out to be useless. Hani pointed to the guys behind our hero and said that they have been cooperating with this agency for more than 10 years. Chandler replied that cooperation was already a thing of the past and handed him a document stating that the company was terminating the contract with them. Hani asked who he was to talk about the breakup, and Chandler replied that if he said so, then it was so. The man said that they had only recently entered into a 10-year contract and that if they broke, they would have to pay. Chandler said that they have the right to terminate the contract if the company does something illegal or goes bankrupt, and that they have the right to hold the company accountable for such actions. The man asked so what, adding that his company would not go bankrupt. Chandler took the phone and said that they were doing illegal things. He showed the phone to the man and he asked in shock where our hero got this information. The man asked where he got this information from, and our hero replied that he didn't need to know it. Chandler sat relaxed on the couch and said that they both should get ready for prison. Hani's father turned to the man and asked Mr. Sven to save him, and promised that if he saved him, he would buy back the shares at 10 times the price. Show the surname to our hero's acquaintance, and he thought we are not talking about Jonah's family. The man approached our hero and asked if he was Mr. Yang, and our hero asked who he was. The man said that Iola was his mistress, and he was here to discuss the sale of their shares. And after that, he wanted to publish incriminating evidence. But since our hero was already here, the man decided to leave. The man turned to the butler and said that he could not just leave. He once again asked the butler that his master would save them. The man turned to the guards and said that if they beat Chandler, he would pay them 3 times as much. Hani shouted at the guards and asked how much our hero paid them. Various cars began to stop near their house. People got out of the car and headed towards the entrance. People on the street began to whisper whether the Java company was really over, and said that it was time for it to fall apart, because 5 people had died because of their activities, and were happy that finally someone was doing justice. The man asked how about negotiations, but our hero replied that he did not negotiate with criminals. A man entered the hall, surrounded by 2 guards. Hani's father approached him and said that he did not need to make a fuss. Otherwise, the neighbors would think that Java had committed a crime, and suggested that they sit down and talk. The serious man said that there is no point in talking. They have all the evidence, and it will soon be published in the media. The man turned to our hero and asked if everything was okay, and Hani asked in surprise why he was so polite. The man replied that our hero is the new largest shareholder of their security company. Hani's father was shocked, and the man continued and said that Chandler had recently acquired 67% of their shares. Hani fell to his knees in front of our hero. He began to apologize and asked him to pretend that nothing had happened, and complained that he was only 28 and did not want to go to prison. Chandler replied that it all depends on fate whether she will give him a second chance. Suddenly, Juno and a girl entered the room. Our hero turned to the girls and said that when they go to the police, they need to tell everything that happened that day. As he left, our hero wished Hani and his father a happy life. Juno hugged our hero and said that he was amazing and that Hani and his father were to blame. Coming out of the house, our hero was met by 2 rows of men who bowed their heads in respect before him. Sitting in the car, the butler of Iola's family took a photo capturing this moment. He wrote to the owner that Chandler's personality was very mysterious, and even the manager of the security agency treated him with respect, and also said that he could not carry out her order. Seeing off Juno, who was sitting in the car with the manager, our hero said that it was time for him to go do some business. And by business, our hero meant another order, and he had just arrived at his destination. He called the passenger and asked where he was, and was asked to get up and help deliver something. Our hero agreed to help and got out of the car.
A girl met him on the stairs and asked if he was her driver. The guy confirmed that it was him and asked what he needed help with.
The girl enthusiastically said that he was very handsome and asked him to come in and give advice on what outfit she should choose. The girl took our hero by the hand and dragged him along, which greatly surprised the guy. The girl showed a short skirt and asked, will she look good in it? The guy answered in confusion, yes, great, and said that he would wait in the car. The girl said that she wanted to choose an outfit that he liked, and our hero replied that he was not very good at it. The guy went to the exit and said that he would be waiting in the car and asked him to hurry up. 3 minutes later, the girl came down to the car in a yellow short dress. The girl asked the name of our hero and said that her name was Leisha, and the guy asked her to buckle up. Leisha asked how long he drove every day, and the guy replied that he didn't have an exact schedule. Putting her hand on the guy's thigh, the girl said that he probably didn't have a girlfriend with such a job and offered to help him. The guy pushed her hand away and asked her not to distract her while driving and not to ask about her personal life, which did not concern her. The girl asked when they would arrive, and the guy replied that there were a few minutes left. The girl was streaming, and in the comments people wrote that she had found another driver and were wondering what she would do with him. Leisha turned to the guy and said that she had run out of money for her phone. Our hero continued driving further, asking if she needed to borrow his phone. The girls clung to the guy and said that she just needed to call, and the guy repeated that he asked not to touch him. Chandler stopped and got out of the car, telling the girl that there was a camera in the car and her every action was being recorded. The girl smiled and asked if there was a camera in the car. Leisha got out of the car and asked what about those kitchens. The guy agreed with a smile and said that he would park the car and come. The girl went to the bushes and asked the guy to hurry up. But as soon as she walked away, our hero jumped into the car and sped off to hell. Leisha ran after the car. She screamed, asking where he had gone and demanded to stop. The guy thought displeasedly how tired he was of all of them. Our hero received a message from the system that a new bad review had been received. And for it, he received 25% of the shares of the Luri company and became the second largest shareholder. The guy thought that the reward was not bad, but the review he left, looking at it, other passengers might think that our hero is a pervert. The review sounded like this. A terrible driver. He wanted me to pay for the fare with my body. Why does he work in that company? The guy angrily pressed the brake on the car. He called support and explained that he came across a strange passenger who left a bad review, but everything was wrong, and he would send a video so that they would watch it and delete the review. The girl said that she would be waiting for his video, and the guy said that he would upload it now. He watched the phone screen as the video was loading and waited until the message video uploaded appeared. The girl from support called back, said that she had watched the video, checked other reviews. Because drivers had already complained about her, she deleted the bad review and blocked the account. Chandler thanked her and invited the girl to dinner today. The girl agreed and added what will await our hero. The moon was hidden by clouds as Leisha told her followers she would find a new driver. Suddenly she saw that her account was blocked and realized that the driver had also complained about her. In the comments, they started laughing at the girl, saying that she had finally been blocked, and had she really come across a smart driver who filed a complaint. In the building of the Luri company, in which our hero received shares, they were just talking about him. The girl said they checked the guy out and he actually bought 25% of the stock, which is crazy. The man in the chair said that it looks like our hero is rich and this will greatly help in developing the business. He ordered the girl to go and contact him to make a good impression. The girl went to the landline phone and picked up the receiver. She called our hero, introduced herself as a secretary, and asked if he wanted to discuss the further development of the company. Chandler said that he is not very good at such things and just wants to receive stable dividends. He also said that he recently ordered clothes from their company, but they did not arrive. He asked them to send someone to take measurements and also discuss tailoring for his company. The secretary replied that she would immediately contact the chief designer, and they would solve everything. She came to the chief designer's office and knocked on the door. The secretary came to the girl and said that she had received an urgent order for sewing work clothes. The girl got angry and said that she was preparing for a fashion show and was not going to sew work clothes, deciding that the secretary was playing a joke on her. The secretary calmly asked if the girl had heard that someone had bought 25% of the shares and the designer was interested. The girl said that the order came from just that person, and that after working on the work clothes, she needed to go and take his measurements. The designer quickly changed her mind and said that she suddenly felt that sewing work clothes was interesting to her. She told the secretary not to worry because she would make clothes that the shareholder would like. Our hero arrived at an apartment building. A girl was already waiting for him there and stepped towards the car. The girl said that our hero looks more beautiful than in the photograph. The guy replied that Lucy was also very beautiful and suggested they go for dinner. The girl asked for a favor, to pick up her friend and boyfriend, and then they would all have dinner together. Our hero agreed, but said that he would skip dinner because he would feel awkward. The girl said that she would treat the guy to dinner another time as a sign of gratitude. Chandler brought the girl to the airport building. He invited the girl to go and meet friends, and he would wait for them in the car. Looking after the girl, he thought that he could receive a lot of negative reviews. and she deletes them all. A couple was coming to meet Lucy, a guy in a cap and a girl. Lucy waved to the girl and she recognized her. The girl asked who this guy was and her friend said that they were dating. The girl enthusiastically said that he was the manager's son, very kind and covered all her expenses. A friend told Lucy that if she didn't find a guy soon, she wouldn't get married. Chandler met the guys, opened the trunk and asked for their suitcases. A friend asked Lucy who this guy was. The girl said without hesitation that our hero was her boyfriend. Chandler decided to play along, introduced himself and said that he was Lucy's boyfriend. A girl named Rin introduced herself and said she was glad to meet you. Chandler asked what hotel they were staying at. The guys sat in the back seat. The girl named the hotel and asked our hero where he worked. As usual, without hesitation, our hero answered that he works in a taxi. The girl was happy and said that this way they can see Lucy every day, and she said that she herself could not see the guy every day because he's busy. The guy said that he was the only child in the family and had to contribute to inherit the family business. Lucy said that she was happy for her friend because she had found such a wealthy guy. Rin said that her boyfriend is also good because he works on his own car, and added that the village chief also bought a similar car. The girl smiled and said that in fact her boyfriend's car is an NT brand. Rin asked her boyfriend if he had heard of such a brand, and the guy said that he had never seen them and that he had heard that they were very expensive. The guy turned to our hero and asked how he could work on such an expensive car. Our hero replied that he only had 2 cars. The second was a sports car, and he couldn't work on it. All three thought that someone who can afford such an expensive car cannot work in a taxi. The guy asked why our hero works in a taxi, because he is rich, and Chandler replied that he just likes a carefree lifestyle. Our hero brought a group of guys to the hotel building and said that they had arrived. All 4 got out of the car and headed towards the entrance. The girl turned to the administrator, said that they had booked a room and asked for the keys. The receptionist checked and said they didn't have a reservation in her name. Rin got angry and said that they booked the room on their website. How can there be no reservation? The administrator explained that they needed to make an additional reservation, and since they did not make it, the reservation was canceled and now they have no available rooms. Rin got angry and asked to call the manager. The manager turned to our hero and asked what brought him here. Chandler said that he brought the guys here, and the manager said that if they were his friends, he would take them to their room for free. But our hero said that the rules are equal for everyone, and they need to adhere to them. The manager was embarrassed and said that he understood everything. The manager turned to the guys and said that without additional reservations, they would not be able to register them, and offered to return the money. Rin asked Chandler if he didn't want to help them, and the guy replied that he was just doing his job. He said goodbye to Lucy and asked him to take care of them, and the girl thanked him. Our hero left, leaving the manager and the guys behind. Lucy asked why the manager was so polite to him. The manager replied with a smile that Chandler was the second largest shareholder. All 3 were shocked that our hero was a shareholder of one of the best hotels. Rin asked what her boyfriend really does since he is so rich. Lucy sheepishly replied that they had just started dating and she didn't know everything about him. Rin asked why her boyfriend didn't help them since he was a shareholder of the hotel. Lucy replied that she made fun of the guy all the way and he tried to be polite. The manager thought that our hero is young and rich. Why does he need such an ordinary girl? Our hero returned to his villa number 1. A girl met him at the entrance, glad that he had returned. Iola said that his aunt had prepared soup for him, and it would help our hero cool down. The guy invited the girl to come into the house. The girl poured the refreshing soup into a plate and placed it on the table. The guy said that his aunt was a great cook, and the girl said that she could make more. And the guy asked if the butler had conveyed the information. Iola replied that she just wanted to apologize that she could not resolve the issue earlier, and he had to do everything himself. Chandler said it was he who did not give the girl time to prepare. The girl said that she is sorry, because she gave her word and let our hero down. Our hero said that he would have problems. He turned to the girl and suggested that she turn to him. As he said goodbye, Chandler thought that it was difficult for him to maintain all the property, and that he needed to hire a housekeeper, like Iola. He snapped his fingers and decided that he would find the maid tomorrow. Our hero arrived in the neighboring area for another order. A woman with 2 small children was waiting for him. He asked them to buckle up and began the ride. The woman asked why our hero was driving in the other direction, and asked him to turn around quickly. The guy said that this is a one-way street, and they can turn at the next intersection. The woman said that everyone here drives in the oncoming lane and suspected that our hero was doing this on purpose. Chandler asked what an example she sets for children, because she teaches them to break traffic rules. The woman shouted that it was up to her to decide how to raise the children and ordered them to turn around. Chandler pointed to the policeman and suggested that they contact him. The woman got out of the car without hesitation. She turned to the policeman and said that wants to unfold here. The policeman said that the driver is right and it is prohibited to turn around here. This is a violation. He thanked our hero for observing traffic rules. Chandler asked if they wanted to go further, and the woman replied that she would walk. She promised to leave a bad review, and our hero wanted to set a good example for her children. A girl in a Chinese dress appeared in the car and reported what kind of bad review he receives from the assistant secretary who gave him the employment contract. Chandler was glad that the system gave him exactly what he needed. He read the profile. The girl's name was Sheila. She was 25 years old, and her education, interests, etc. were also indicated. At 6 in the evening, our hero arrived to meet the secretary. Having approached the girl, our hero asked if she was Sheila. The girl smiled as she said that it was she who went to our hero. Chandler asked if she knew what her job was. The girl said that she was a secretary who should help him in everyday life and with work matters. Our hero offered a salary of $50,000, and the girl was very happy about this offer. Our hero and Sheila hit the road to the villa. Having arrived at the place, our hero offered to choose any room for her and promised to treat her to dinner in the evening. Having finished with their business, our hero and Sheila went to the restaurant. Expensive dishes and excellent wine were already on the table. A girl came up to their table and asked, since it's not Sheila, adding that she didn't expect to see her here. The girl mistook our hero for her boyfriend and said that he is quite handsome. Sheila answered that this did not concern the girl and asked them not to bother. But she replied that they were former classmates. Lulu, that was the girl's name, greeted our hero, and he replied that she should not disturb them. But the girl did not lag behind and asked how long they had known each other. Chandler replied that they met today. Lulu laughed, thinking she was on a blind date, and asked how she ended up in such a situation, even though she was studying abroad. Sheila got angry and said that it's none of her business whether she goes on blind dates or not. Lulu angrily asked if she had found a job since she was the vice president and added that she could recommend her. Sheila stood up and asked the girl to leave because she did not want to argue in front of our hero. She turned to the waiter and said that they are being interrupted from having dinner. The waitress approached Lulu and asked if she had a reservation. The girl replied that she had reserved table number 34. The waitress replied that in this case the girl should return to her place. As she left, Lulu told our hero that Sheila could betray her friends at any time. Sheila lost her temper and said that she would tell everyone what she did in college. Lulu hissed in anger, clenching her fists when she heard this threat. A guy appeared in the hall and asked Lulu what she was doing here. The girl clung to the guy and said that she was being bullied, and he promised to help her. Suddenly, he saw our hero and asked what he was doing here, and the guy replied that he should see it himself. The guy replied that he asked a stupid question and said that our hero's girlfriend was beautiful. Chandler said that she was his secretary, and his girlfriend began to mock her and asked how he would solve this problem. The guy scaredly said that he would make her apologize, and the issue would be resolved. But Chandler disagreed and said that the guy couldn't keep track of her. Lulu said that he is Luri's vice president and asked why he is afraid of our hero. The guy yelled at her to shut up and quickly apologized to Chandler and the girl. The girl asked in shock if he didn't say that he would protect her. The guy grabbed her by the neck and told her to quickly apologize because it wasn't difficult. The girl bowed and asked Sheila to forgive her, but she replied that she did not want to know her and asked her to pretend that they had never met. Lulu said humbly Sheila would never see her again. Sheila turned to our hero and asked them to leave, but Chandler stopped them. He turned to Lulu and asked her to talk about the betrayal, thinking that he should know such things about his subordinates. Sheila started to say something, but our hero left her and said that he wanted to hear it. Lulu said that she sat with Sheila during the exam, but the observer from the commission thought that she was writing and did not count the work. Sheila got angry, saying that she was the one who plagiarized her work and spread rumors and still believes that she was right. The guy suddenly hit the girl on the cheek, saying that she had acted meanly and was blaming another person. The waitress approached them and asked the guy not to hit the girl. The guy asked Lulu if he hit her, looking angrily at the girl. Holding her cheek, the girl said that she fell and hit herself. Chandler smiled widely when he heard this story and was surprised that the girl had kept this grudge for so many years. Lulu replied that she knew she was guilty, but she couldn't just leave it like that. Chandler said that they now had to decide for themselves what to do, and Sheila replied that she no longer wanted to see this girl. The guy also asked our hero for forgiveness and said that he would make sure that the girls never met. Holding the crying Lula by the shoulders, the guy led her out of the hall. Before hours, a system message appeared stating that loyalty had been increased to 50%. The next day at our hero's villa, Chandler gave orders to Sheila and said that he needed to go. Meanwhile, they were being watched from the window of a neighboring villa. The manager told Yahello that the girl our hero brought yesterday is still there. Yahello suggested that the woman go and find out everything herself. The woman pressed the bell and asked if Chandler was home. Sheila opened the door and asked if the woman had come to see our hero. The manager said that she's from the neighboring villa, and that they are good friends, and also that she brought king crabs to treat Chandler. Sheila replied that the guy was not there right now, but she could pick them up because she worked as his housekeeper. The woman handed over the package, saying that they both had to serve their employers, and said goodbye. The manager returned back to Villa number 8. Yahello asked from the threshold how it all went, and the woman answered that they were in vain inventing everything. The woman replied that Sheila was also a housekeeper like her. The girl said that this was great news and offered to continue working. Iola wondered why her father repeated several times that she should stick to our hero. Meanwhile, Sheila put the bag of crabs in the refrigerator. Chandler called her and said that he bought a car to make it easier for her to do business, and the girl thanked him for his kindness. Our hero asked the girl to call him when she finished with her business, and they would pick her up together. The guy decided to check if there were new orders and immediately received one. He joyfully shouted forward and drove to the right place. Arriving at the place, he saw that several women were waiting for him. He asked if they had ordered a taxi and received a positive answer. The woman told the other girls to get into the car. Chandler thought in shock that there were too many of them, and asked if they had all decided to go in the same car. The woman replied that there was no point in ordering several cars if they fit in one. The guy replied that he only had 5 places, and the woman replied that they had good figures, and they would all fit. 6 girls got into the car, and the woman said it was a great money saver. Our hero asked to fasten his seatbelts and said that they were leaving. One girl asked another if she remembered her lines, and she retold the advertising slogan about buying a car. Chandler thought they were rehearsing a marketing slogan. The girl in the front seat asked him not to be distracted and watch the road. Chandler asked if the slogan was true because then they should all have cars. The girl said that they have cars, and that if our hero joins them, he can buy a new car in 3 months. The woman in the front seat said that her husband also worked as a driver for 10 hours, but did not earn much money. Chandler politely declined, saying he had work to do and thought she wouldn't calm down. The woman offered to join the chat, after which she would give our hero a good rating. Arriving at the scene, Chandler once again said that he liked his work and asked not to be so persistent. Getting out of the car, the woman called our hero ignorant, adding that his destiny was to work as a taxi driver all his life. Looking after the leaving woman, he thought that with such abilities, she would not make a career for herself. Sheila noticed Chandler and waved in greeting. The girl asked who these people were, and the guy replied that he was bored and decided to take one order. Our hero got out of the car, and his polished shoes glittered in the sun. A girl met them at the entrance and asked what car they wanted to see. Sheila replied that they were here to pick up the car in our hero's name. The girl said that the manager warned her and invited our hero and Sheila to follow her. As Chandler walked by, he noticed the 3 women he had brought here. The girl escorted them to the hall where they could see the car. Our hero was met by the manager and shook his hand, saying that he was very glad to meet you and asked the girl to prepare tea. Chandler received notification of a new bad review where a woman complained that the driver was not focused and was picking up more people than expected. Our hero immediately received a message from the system about a bonus of 10 million and the opportunity to increase bonuses if he can convince him to delete the review. Chandler thought in surprise that the system had new functions with rewards. The manager brought a glass on a tray and invited our hero to drink tea. Chandler said that he was in a hurry and asked to show him the car quickly. The manager led Sheila and our hero into the hall where his car was located. As they passed by, they saw 2 girls standing opposite each other and tension was felt between them. The manager said that he needed to move away and suggested that the hero go and see the car on his own. The girl said that this car was really amazing, and our hero invited her to look at the interior from the inside. Chandler took out his phone and invited the girl to take a photo of her inside the car. Suddenly a woman approached them and asked how they got there. The women he brought said that an ordinary taxi driver would not be able to afford such a car, and the second added that he would not have such a car until he joined their company. Chandler thanked him for the offer and once again refused, asking the women where their cars were. The woman pointed to the car, saying that it looked beautiful, and she wanted to take a photo of it, but our hero was stopping her. Sheila asked what was going on, and Chandler replied that the women wanted to take pictures of their car. The women brought out a piece of red cloth and began to stretch it. 3 women held the cloth while the 4th took photographs of them. Sheila quietly asked our hero, covering her mouth with her hand, what they were doing. Chandler showed the phone, and the girl asked in surprise if the woman was really posting a photo with the caption that it was her car. With a smile, our hero told Sheila that they should have fun while they could. The woman said that the car had a license plate and added that she would really like to meet the owner. The manager told the woman to leave because she only had permission to rent unsold cars, and the woman asked where the owner of the car was. The manager angrily replied that because of her, the owner could not see the car, and that she had paid $200 to photograph the car. But if she offended an important client, she would pay more. The woman again asked where the owner was, and the manager asked if she had problems with her vision because he was standing right in front of her. The women were shocked to learn that the car belonged to our hero. The manager angrily asked the women to leave, hoping they wouldn't cause any more problems for anyone. Ignoring the manager, the woman approached our hero, asking if it was his car. The woman asked how the taxi driver could afford a Rolls-Royce, and our hero replied that it was none of her business. The woman smiled tensely and asked our hero to tell her. She offered to forget that situation, deleted the review, and offered to add me as a friend and go to dinner. A girl in a Chinese dress appeared in front of our hero next to a huge wheel, which only our hero could see. and invited him to spin it and say, "Stop for 5 seconds." The girl spun the wheel and our hero, after waiting a little, said stop. After kissing Chandler on the eyebrow, from which he closed one eye, the girl said that his multiplier is 8, that is, he receives 80 million. Our hero told the woman that he believes in fate, and if they see each other again, he will invite her to dinner. Turning to the manager, our hero winked at him, hinting that he needed to act. The manager immediately ordered the women who were taking pictures of the car to be kicked out. 2 men in uniform took the struggling woman by the arms and dragged her to the exit. The manager apologized to our hero, but he replied that this was not necessary and suggested that we sign the papers as soon as possible. Suddenly, Chandler saw Nick's sister and asked if she had come to buy a car. The man next to her asked irritably, why does our hero speak to her so disrespectfully? The girl got angry, asking why he kept interfering in the conversation, and suggested that he wait in the car. She asked our hero not to pay attention and invited him to enter into an agreement that if he helped the girl become the head, and she would give him 49% of the shares. Chandler immediately responded that he was not interested in the girl's company. He turned around and, waving his hand, asked the girl not to bother him anymore. After leaving the building, Chandler suggested that Sheila return home, and he decided to do some more work. The girl said that if she returned alone, she would not have any work and asked to go after our hero. Chandler accepted another order and arrived at a tall building. A girl and a guy in business suits were already waiting for him. Chandler asked to fasten his seatbelts and named the final destination of the route. In the back seat, the girl reassured the guy, explaining that the company simply did not have free cars, and the guy was unhappy that he had to take a taxi. The girl said that this car was good and offered to look at the interior. The man got angry and said that it was an ordinary car because there were no good cars in taxis. Chandler said that even taxi drivers could have a nice car, but if he wanted a more luxurious car, he should have indicated this in the order. The man got angry and said that the taxi driver cannot have a luxury car that costs several million. Chandler asked if he saw a sports car behind them, and the man said that it could not belong to our hero. The guy replied that this is really a car for working in a taxi, but to order it you need to pay more. The man laughed, not believing that our hero could arrive in such an expensive car. Chandler stopped the car, saying that his secretary was driving, and added that the man was pathetic, so it will show what a good car is. Our hero got out of the car and waved to Sheila, who was driving behind him. The girl stopped, got out of the car, and asked what happened. Chandler said the man complained the whole way, so he decided to let him ride in the expensive car. Sheila smiled and said that this car really belonged to her boss. The guy and girl were shocked when they heard confirmation that the car belonged to our hero. Chandler added that there were surveillance cameras in the car, so he was responsible for his words, and suggested that they move to another car. The man hesitated, said that he was joking, and could not travel in such a luxurious car, offering to continue the trip. Our hero waved for Sheila to get back into the car. The girl asked, "Since our hero is so rich, why is he a taxi driver?" And the guy replied that he likes free work. The guy, who had previously been silent, apologized to our hero for what he had said earlier. Chandler told him not to worry, adding that they had arrived and asked not to forget things. The girl said as she got out of the car that our hero is very caring and she will definitely order a taxi again. Looking after our hero, the guy and girl thought that they could not understand the thoughts and reasons why such a rich man worked in a taxi. Having found a place to stop, Sheila handed the car keys to our hero. Chandler told her to keep the keys for herself, because it would be more convenient for her to get around on business. The girl was very happy that our hero gave her a car, which increased the level of loyalty. Chandler was surprised that the level had increased because of the car, and asked the girl if she had everything she needed, since she had just arrived. He suggested going shopping together, and the girl happily agreed. They arrived at a large shopping center building with many stores. The girl asked our hero to wait while she bought a charger that she forgot on the way. Sheila walked into a hardware store, and there was a couple standing near the counter. The girl said she wanted an iPad, but the guy replied that he didn't have the money to buy it right now. The girl offered to take out a loan from the bank because he already owed money. Another couple of thousand would not affect this. Watching this conversation, our hero thought that they had a difficult relationship. The guy offered to come another time, but the girl began to get angry and asked if it was really difficult for him to buy it. She hit the guy in the face with a flourish, shouting that he was useless. The girl screamed for the guy to kneel down, and he replied that next time he would definitely buy everything. The girl shouted louder for the guy to get on his knees, and he obediently sank to the floor. Sheila and Chandler were shocked by the scene that unfolded before their eyes. The girl grabbed the guy by the ear and said that she agreed to date him, but he couldn't even buy her anything. The girl turned to our hero and asked if a guy shouldn't buy everything for his girlfriend, and Chandler replied that gifts should come from the heart. Our hero asked why she got the idea that a guy is obliged to give her something, and the girl replied that if he doesn't buy her gifts, then she shouldn't be his girlfriend. Sheila said that she had bought everything she needed and could go home. Showing the charger, our hero said that Sheila could even buy the charger herself, adding that the girl still had a lot to learn about love. The girl asked if Sheila really pays for everything herself when she goes shopping, because she is beautiful and should not be humiliated. Sheila replied that she had arms and legs and could buy everything herself, and asked the girl if she had no money, why was she forcing the guy to spend money? The girl did not answer, turned around and walked away, leaving the guy on his knees. Chandler patted the guy on the shoulder and said that he would find a better girl than her. Our hero and Sheila went down to the underground parking of the shopping center. They walked forward, approaching the couple standing in front. Chandler noticed an acquaintance and wanted to say hello to him, but stopped when he saw the girl next to him. Our hero doubted whether he should approach and interfere with them. Sheila, who was walking nearby, asked our hero why they stopped. Chandler asked the girl to wait for him in the car, and she happily agreed. The guy standing with the girl took the phone out of his trouser pocket. He called someone, said that the girl was drunk, and asked him to come and pick her up because they should be together, adding that he was only